All right, and we're live.
Okay, hello world. This is RK-128, Lord Sonic, and my good friend Seahawk, Lord Rockstar, and this is the first episode of the Cold and
Press X Code and Culture podcast.
yes, Jesus, I already messed it up. Wow. Okay, we'll
It's
keep
only
that.
the first episode.
Well, so the goal of this podcast is we're going to be talking about video games, culture, and all that good stuff. And in
Yes.
the process, I'll probably be made fun of by my friend here, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It's gonna be very fun.
Yes, and every day is a chai day. I got the high five rush bug. I ordered it, and it's great. I bought merch to support a dead game.
Welcome, welcome.
Ooh, what's this?
This is our background.
Oh, nice.
All right. So I guess you wanna do an introduction about yourself and what you do?
Of course, man. Um, what I stumble over my words. Goddamn. All right. So, well, you might have seen me on having a guest appearance or two on the Iron Lords, and I also was on a show with another Discord buddy, Midnight. And what I do is I'm a writer for Lords of Gaming, and I and I just I love writing. I cover gaming news, reviews. I review some stuff sometimes, and I've been doing it for a couple of months now. I'm also starting a position as a teacher's aide this week, ideally,
Mm-hmm.
and um yeah, and I the Monica Lord Sonic, yeah. I imagine my good friend here is gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the correct angle because my good buddy here is gonna make fun of me a little bit about that, but that'll be when it's his turn to talk.
Yes, that will be my turn to talk. Are you done?
I was gonna transition to you. Any so with me today and my co-host of this hopefully wonderful podcast is my good friend Seahawk, aka Lord Rockstar. He's an inspiring game developer, and he's funny sometimes, and
Sometimes.
yeah, sometimes, and we can also call him Lord AAA because that is some of his favorite genres, some
Hey,
favorite games.
I like my double A games.
Oh, that's right. You played you recently.
Hellblade.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hellblade. Yeah, exactly. That's coming out soon. But
Yes. And Plague
it's
Tale Requiem, also a Game Pass exclusive.
not anymore. But now it's your introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Lord Rockstar, or as they say, Seahawk, and I'm currently studying to be a developer with triple A ambitions. And
God,
yeah, want to push the industry forward, not backwards, not into the vileness of Sonic.
Sonic isn't vile, good sir. Sonic is a wholesome video game franchise,
Yeah.
and what Chris Chan tainted the name, but that's okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty much a nobody, but we start our careers today.
You're not a nobody, brother. You're you, man. You're not a nobody. Don't call yourself that.
Oh yeah. But I probably became more passionate about the industry about 2017, I want to say, because before that I was more of a casual. Then buy games day one until like 2018.
Video games are expensive, man. I look. It's hard to afford stuff now, especially with how expensive everything is.
Remember, Spider-Man was the first game I pre-ordered.
Spider-Man was so good.
Oh yeah, it was like the first game to get me pumped and hyped to be there day one.
Spider-Man 2 was awesome too, man.
Oh yeah. Okay, you guys. I guess you want to get into the games we're playing.
Yes, now, yes. So for this section of our show, we're going to talk about video games we are playing. And since I did the introductions hopefully well, I'm going to let I'm going to let see. I keep getting perspective wrong. I'm going to let my friend Seahawk. Alrighty, mistakes. So I'm going to let my friend Seahawk here talk about what he's been playing now. Go ahead, sir.
Well, recently I have finished my Weeb Prison, aka Persona 5 Royale.
It's not prison, sir. It's you played Peak Fiction.
I'm sorry, Peak Prison.
Peak. Tell us about your time with this Peak Prison.
This Peak Prison is I forced myself to go through about 140 hours of JRPG mid. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. It was 50% mid when the boss battles didn't suck. But I have played my first turn-based game, and although the gameplay ain't for me because I'm Lord AAA, I did enjoy the story and the characters.
For the Lord Rockstar. We already changing your name already.
No, Rockstar. Oh, sorry, it's quadruple A. That's what Rockstar games are.
Oh, okay.
So it's Lord Quadruple A.
Continue.
Well, yeah, and then currently I've just been playing one of my background games where it's like started a replay, but it's like so long, so I just played over a long period of time.
Nice.
AKA AC Valhalla, which is like 60 or 70 hours.
Hey, it's fitting considering one of the main topics we're going to be talking about later.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a good chance to, play it until Hellblade 2 comes out. Because I don't really want to start something and then, have to stop.
Fair enough. Yeah, you actually finish games.
Yes, I do finish games. That is true. Because I have finished 140 hours of Persona.
Yes, and my experience with Persona, I played through both Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal back to back like a mental case during the pandemic.
That was pretty mental.
Like you said, some of those boss fights are definitely like they're the reason I lost my hair. But game.
Yes.
So I guess it's my turn to talk about the stuff I've been playing.
Yeah, what have you been playing, Arcade? And what have you finished?
Wow, already gonna start. So I did finish a game. It's a Tales of Kinzera.
Hmm.
Um, I I really enjoy that game. It's a Metroidvania, but in many respects, it's a really well put together first effort by a new studio, EA Originals title,
Hmm.
and the music is amazing. The story is really gripping, and even though there's some minor issues with things with the combat system, kind of getting a little bit repetitive towards the end, the level design not being like as creative as say like an Ori or whatever, it was a really fun time. And while I'm not close to beating this yet, Bella Blade, I made a substantial progress in, and I'm basically in a portion of the game where they decided to say, "Hey, we want to be Resident Evil for like an hour."
Hmm.
You basically lose access to the board and you're just shooting things. And I gotta say, it's really interesting seeing like this Souls inspired, loosely inspired game kind of mix up genres so like on a dime like that.
Okay.
And while the shooting mechanics aren't exactly like amazing, they're good enough. And I really liked I really enjoy, I didn't beat this portion yet, but I'm enjoying this part of the game so far. And the combat, I'm actually getting pretty decent at the combat, and that's something I did not expect.
Arcade
And
with skill?
yeah, I know, right? Wow, that's a surprise. Um, another, and while this isn't really much of a game, like full
Hmm.
thing, something I just kind of heard about, and as Lord Sonic, I had to give it a try. It's this like little like demo thing called Sonic Overdrive. They made like a small team made this in Dreams, like the sunsetted like game maker product on PlayStation 4. You can play it on PS5, and it's basically like if you ever saw the Sonic CD opening, the game is the little demo is basically like, hey, what if you played that? What if that was a playable thing?
Mhm.
Pretty fun. I did a little write up about it on Lords of Gaming. You can check it out now if you want. But if you have a PS5 or a PS4 and you have PS Plus, download
And you like
Dreams.
2D games?
No, what?
And you like 2D games?
Yeah, I like 2D games.
Yeah, I'm saying download Zao if you like 2D games.
Oh, yes. Thank thank you. If you like 2D platform, if you like 2D platformers, Metroidvania elements, definitely give Zao a shot. Thank you, Seahawk, for reminding me that currently that's on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium if you have that. So
And if you're on the other side, you'll soon be getting another 2D game,
yes, that's right.
Hollow Knight.
Can you wait? That's
Hol-
coming.
this year. It's coming to the Game Pass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I keep thinking that's vaporware because it's taking so long for it to come out.
I was
But
just gonna say, only almost was like announced 2 years ago.
I know, right? But that actually got on ratings. So Xbox guys, you got your Metroidvania for the year. If
Yeah,
you that Zal,
Indie Pass got its Indie of the Year.
hey, you know what? At least hey, and these are good.
They're very good.
Absolutely. But in terms of, I also want to start playing Hellblade One.
Mm,
I played like the first hour or two of it a few years ago when I first got my Xbox Series X, and I didn't really click with it too much. But I want to at least play most of it before
yeah, yeah.
I play the sequel. I want to at least have an idea why Senua is insane.
Aren't we all a little insane?
Yeah, we're all insane.
Especially a certain type of fan base.
We're not getting there. We're not getting there. Anyway, now it's time for us to move on to the first major topic. And if on my side of the screen is a little bright, it's because I'm opening up my web browser to kind of yeah. So now, if you hear background noise, I live in an apartment. You hear cops. This
And we
really
can
is
just say the cops are agreeing with me about Sonic Sucking.
no, this really is defining. This is really is a defining Duke-esque experience because you hear cops in the background
A
sometimes when you.
spiritual successor.
Yes. Oh God. I mean, anyway, so recently, as of May 15th, 2024, they
hmm
Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the long rumored Japan focused Assassin's Creed title where you have two protagonists. And I will let my friend Seahawk take it away because while I played some Assassin's Creed games back in the day, Seahawk is an Assassin's Creed connoisseur, so to speak. So you take it.
Connoisseur and
Yes, because you actually
obsessed.
you actually know what you're talking about here. So
Yes,
you
yes. Assassin's Creed is one of my expertise.
yes,
Okay, hold on. I just want to pull up the cover art. Okay, here we go. So, Assassin's Creed Japan recently had its reveal trailer this week, and was oh yes, they revealed by Ubisoft Quebec, which is coming this November, I believe, November 15th is what I heard, I think.
yes.
Anyways, Assassin's Creed Japan is a very interesting title, not because of its dumb controversy, which we will get into, but because it is a kind of shift for the franchise. A, not a reboot, but a redirection, I would say. Previously, The last three games were, we call them the RPG fantasy games, and they were focused all about not assassins, like the title is called, but it is about the history, the myth, the Greek myths, the Egyptian myths, and the Norse myths. This is basically a return to form for Assassin's Creed. And then we can get into my history with Assassin's Creed. I started with Assassin's Creed 2, which most people have, and that was a different era. Where did you start, RK?
Assassin's Creed 2. That's the
There.
first one back on the PlayStation 3. And while I didn't really get that far in the game, I really enjoyed Ezio's character. The world was really fun to explore, and the music was really, really good.
Yeah, it's a unique world. It was also a pioneer in the open world genre.
It's almost as if every game started copying Assassin's Creed because
Yeah, it's
Assassin's
almost like
Creed.
Spider-Man has towers.
I know, right? I wonder why. I wonder where that amazing idea came from.
Speaking of towers, Assassin's Creed is removing towers.
Really, there's no towers in this new one?
They exist, but they're no longer stuff to make your map pop. They're only there for like a strategic view. If you want to, infiltrate a place, you can like use it as a scouting place, but it no longer like puts markers on your map.
So basically, they're predominantly going to be used for the female assassin, the female character, because her playstyle is going to be focused on stealth.
Yes, but it's all optional to the player, but it is a good view. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but Assassin's Creed previously had where you had like a drone of an eagle, basically.
No, I know. I dabbled with the RPG titles. I hit like I remember when I first played. I tried playing Odyssey, and why I was really liking the female protagonist in the world. I got into some battles, and I kept dying because of the level cap and everything. Like I was level 5. I was fighting some guys. They were one level higher than me, and I just kept getting killed all the time. You can make fun of me and say it's a skill issue,
No,
but
Assassin's Creed had a level gating issue.
oh, okay. So I just didn't suck at the game.
You
Or
just
maybe
weren't,
I
you
did.
probably weren't the right level.
Okay, fair enough.
But that was a problem. Like, for example, you did a main quest, and it said next quest 10 levels above you, and you're like just supposed to grind some fetch quests.
Damn. So I guess that's how those games, the RPG ones, are made.
Yeah, the RPGs were bloated by design.
So with this new one, how do you think? Because what we know so far from the reveal trailer, we have two playable characters. We have a male um, shinobi, correct, or a male samurai.
Male samurai and female shinobi.
Okay, and so you have two different play styles from the looks of it. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think
By
it's
the
gonna?
way, some brief information. The
Thank you.
female shinobi, she can't parry or block.
Hmm.
She can only deflect attacks and dodge.
That makes sense because they posted a video where like they broke down the trailer and they kind of explained that she's very fast,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
she so I imagine like that's why she can't parry and stuff because her like um counter ability, so to speak, is being able to dodge really quickly.
yeah, that's true. And what? Oh yeah, the samurai will not have a hitting blade either. That's what I want to
Well, that
say.
makes a lot of sense because like he could just do stealth if you have like stealth attacks or like sneak attacks. He could just stab the guy with like his sword and like and that's kind of and that'll be his pseudo stealth if
Hmm.
that's an option or not.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, these are really interesting because if you go back to Syndicate, they attempted a similar thing as well. Because Evie Fry was there were supposed to be like twin characters, and the female one was supposed to be stealth focused, and the male one was supposed to be more combat focused, but they more or less played almost the same.
So they had cold feet basically.
Yeah, and this is the same exact studio as well.
Ah, so this is them kind of revisiting that idea then.
Yes, it is. But at the time, Ubisoft management didn't really think women would sell, so there's a lot of issues back then. That's why there is more missions for the male character of Syndicate than the female character. It was uneven missions.
No, it's not like Lara Croft and Samus Aran exist or anything.
Or Aloy.
Yeah, Aloy with Horizon with the 10 spin-offs.
Yes, that series exists.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and then there is also going to be a grappling hook.
Yeah, I saw that in like the trailer breakdown. That is really cool. And the fact that only the 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 female like the female shinobi can use that is really interesting. It makes me kind of curious if is the male samurai gonna have his own unique form of transversal.
We'll see. But what's interesting is this is a physics-based rope swing.
Oh, so you can correct me if I'm wrong here because you play through the whole thing. Is
Mm,
it Uncharted 4 with the like the grappling hook?
oh, that's interesting, but I feel like this is gonna be more open. But I will suspect it will work like Uncharted 4, where you have certain grab points where you can latch onto.
Hmm.
But that is my theory. What's interesting is Syndicate had a kind of like a auto rope launcher, which wasn't really physics, it was just like automated animation basically.
Hmm.
We like just shoot a rope up and attaches to the top of the roof and you like go go up. Or you like created your own zip lines between roofs.
From everything you're saying, this really sounds a lot like they're looking at Syndicate as like the blueprint, and they're just kind of taking like what they accomplished there and just building on top of that with this new title.
And there is a lot of similarities, but I don't know, this is like taking a lot of different points from the franchise, is my thoughts on it.
Well, I wish I had more to comment on with this announcement, but with Assassin's Creed, it's a franchise that I'm not that familiar with outside of, like I mentioned,
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed 2 and a handful and a brief time with the newer ones. But do you have any other commentary you want to make on it?
Mm, can you repeat your question?
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat what you wanted to ask?
I
I
was
got
asking.
lost.
Sorry about that. I was asking. Do you have any more commentary you want to add before we get to the
Yes,
other stuff?
yes. I want to go over this some details. We'll have this from the IGN article 40 details you may need to know.
Awesome. Let's
We're
go.
just gonna gloss over some interesting ideas. For example, there is a shadow system where like you use the shadows, or you can create your own shadows by extinguishing fire torches, and etc. And then,
So
oh,
you
I was just gonna say one more thing. Depending on the weather conditions, for example, there's going to be a season system where you have like different types of environments depending on your season you're in. And during the winter, they carry lanterns with them.
hmm. I can imagine since there'll be snow on the ground, that might make. Did you might know the answer to this? Did they say anything about like snow having an impact on stealth?
Yeah,
Because
I think they did talk about that. Yeah, it has like what they call a dynamic season system. Like so during the winter, the lakes are frozen.
hmm. Also, that's an extra like area you can kind of
Yeah.
navigate for that season specifically, but you can't like say for example.
Also, icicles will form on rooftop edges and can fall if disturbed potentially.
So you could just like throw like a shuriken or something at those, and that could actually kill a guard if they're onto it.
Yeah, or it could make them go to a different position.
Hmm. A lot of this sounds like stuff you would see in a Splinter Cell game
Oh
in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of.
There is a lot of Splinter Cell inspiration. I think a lot of like articles, they said or called this like Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed.
That's really cool. So all the stuff is it really feels like that they listen to the feedback a lot of people giving them about like the newer titles kind of abandoning stealth elements, and it's we have a game that is for the stealth side of it is going to have a lot of depth to it. Did they did they have any like commentary on like for the samurai and like the combat elements for him or stealth elements for him?
Combat for the samurai is basically going to be like what people wanted in the RPG playstyle. It's like made for the RPG gamer.
Oh, okay.
So
So I
this
was
is like the two fan bases. You have the traditional ones. They're gonna play as the shinobi, and then the RPG guys will play as the samurai.
that is really interesting that they're just making two games in one from the looks of it, because you have two completely different like gameplay formats in one thing,
Oh,
and that is interesting.
yeah. Also, speaking of the weather system, there is going to be severe weather like deep fogs, howling winds, and snow impacts enemy sight and sound. And a storm is an opportunity to mask your footsteps.
Everything sounds like you just want to play as you're gonna want to play as the shinobi. That's what it sounds like. There's so much depth of like
Oh yeah, this is all
uh,
because of an engine, like a new iteration of their engine.
that's awesome.
This is oh, they also have a detailed ecology system. For example, in spring, wind will blow gusts of pollen that has been spawned by trees and replicate a real ecosystem.
Imagine if you can use like that like the Poland to kind of cause distractions for the guards. I could see that being a mechanic.
Oh yeah, and then there's a lot of things dimensions, but this new engine is something I also want to talk about because this is an interesting engine. Because normally engines are usually focused on a one type of game. For example, the last iteration was built for RPG games, and now it's going to be multifaceted for different types of games. As we know, the next title is not an RPG.
It's witch focused, and that is very exciting. That is very interesting. That I wonder how that game's gonna play. Like,
That's going to be playing very differently, I suspect. But it, but it's also a single character,
yep, female protagonist, and
and that's going to be more I don't think it's going to be like a split audience like this is. I feel like that's going to be more focused toward traditional fans.
probably some kind of something that's in between like a traditional Assassin's Creed game, like you mentioned, and something along the lines of like a linear like Naughty Dog
Yes,
style
there
game.
has been in some of the leaks, people have said like there's gonna be open zones, not open world, but like open zones,
Open zones. That
like
sounds exciting.
AC2 basically. We had like the open city zones and the open like farm zones.
Okay, I was gonna try to segue to some kind of Sonic joke, but you saved me from it. So thank you.
I have saved you, and then the setting is during the Great Unification of Japan from the clan Iga.
My history knowledge is basically non-existent.
I
So,
don't have much to say about this because I'm not a historian either.
but Assassin's Creed always does a great job with like
Oh, I
honoring
forgot to mention they will also be adding a prone ability.
vulnerability.
Going prone, you know how they in The Last of Us 2?
Oh, you can just basically interesting. So just even more mechanics for the stealth system.
Oh yes. That is just how it's going.
And honestly, Assassin's Creed of history, and I feel like this is a way we can naturally segue into one of the controversies. With Assassin's Creed, even a casual fan like myself knows that Assassin's Creed, while it isn't historically accurate 100% of the time, they do extensive research to the point where some of their titles can be used. Some of the titles are used to preserve historical stuff. Like I remember hearing a story a few years ago that Assassin's Creed Unity, when Notre Dame got burned down, if they use if they use the Notre Dame location from Assassin's Creed Unity, the data, the model, all that stuff, to help kind of preserve that, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
they also have. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They have these museum modes where you can kind of explore the location. I think they introduced this with Origins, I
Yep.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They introduced us with Origins.
I don't know if that carried over to Valhalla and Odyssey, but I know definitely know Origins had something like that.
Yep. I believe Odyssey had a discovery tour, but I'm not sure about Valhalla. But I do know
Well,
some of these discovery tours were using classes.
well, with Valhalla, from everything from what one of my friends told me about the game, that definitely leans more to the fantasy side of things and the realism side of things. So,
Actually, Valhalla is kind of like the one in the middle.
really?
Odyssey is the one that goes far-fetched fantasy.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you for the correction, man.
Yeah, yeah, because Odyssey is where like they just didn't give a crap about the lore.
They just wanted to just make a good game, I guess, and not really think about old
I
lists.
my opinion is, have you heard of Immortals?
Immortals, the Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, not what I don't know why I said Immortals, but yeah, Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that game actually.
That
That
was
game,
that was basic. I feel like that's basically what they wanted to make, but Ubisoft wanted to make an Assassin's Creed.
hmm. Well, that game kind of is low key like Breath of the Wild, but with no weapon degradation and some of the more annoying mechanics in Breath of the Wild being stripped out and just
Yeah.
kind of more RPGified, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
But yeah, and as we're talking about the Assassin's Creed in history, um, the whole situation with this new title is people are upset about the the protagonist specifically, despite the.
Let me read a tweet. Let me just read this tweet
Thank you.
from a descendant of one of the people who was an actual retainer of Oda Nobunaga, if I said that right, which I don't think I did.
That's fine. I would say it wrong. I'll probably say it wrong too.
I can't say this, but I am descended from this person who was a retainer and was aka absolutely a samurai. Why are people like this?
And that's a good segue to the whole topic of people being upset that the main protagonist is a is a black samurai, and it is very baffling. I'm opening up the IGN article,
Yeah,
which
I have that open as well. I just want to say IGN fought, cooked with this article. Like
they did.
actually they made a banger article. I just want to read this quote. I don't want
Go
us to
ahead.
see have the roles we're expected to have. I want to have roles we've never had before.
That's a really great quote, man. And I looked through the article, and it's they basically said along the lines of, I know people are upset about like, oh, we wanted an Asian samurai, a male samurai, but
There's literally a female shinobi that lives in Japan.
yeah, that's something I just honestly don't understand. Like, it feels like Ubisoft basically looked at like the expected criticisms and like, okay, well, we're offering two options, people. So I really don't understand why people are upset. In all honesty, but
Honestly, you gotta say she's probably the best assassin ever. Because she is literally turned invisible.
you can't beat that. You can't beat turning invisible.
She is invisible where people don't even acknowledge her existence.
Damn.
She is
I
the
got,
best assassin in Assassin's Creed.
I caught your joke. That's funny.
But also, this if I want to see an Asian samurai protagonist, I don't have to look very hard now, do I?
No, there's Ghost of Tsushima. That
Exactly.
exists. And I feel like this is Ubisoft kind of looking. Listen, we can't just copy. we can't copy this game. We did this game. Not we did this game, but Sony did this game. So why would we copy that? So they went from
I
what
think
if
they're gonna give Ghost a run for their money
yeah, and we
because
have
they're
Ghost
generally pushing the open world with this game. Like this isn't a traditional Ubisoft design game. It's removing waypoints from like the towers and just doing so much.
and if people are gonna be complaining about Assassin's Creed, this isn't what you should be complaining about. This
It's also not huge. It's the size of Origins, which I think was a 30-hour game, I want to say. That's
if
the
it's
size of
30
the map.
if that's 30 hours, that isn't Valhalla like over 200?
No, it's not.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
if you do everything. AC Valhalla is like 60 hours for the main story.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it can get like to 80 hours though, like a traditional playthrough. Yeah, it's 61 hours for the main story. But AC Origins is gonna be, let's see, the main story length. 30
Maybe
hours. That's what I
30
thought.
hours. Maybe this will fall somewhere in the middle because you have two protagonists that play very differently.
Well, what this is gonna be a non-linear type experience where you can just choose who you want and play however you want. Like there isn't like, it's just like you have targets to assassinate around the map and you can choose them in any order you want.
Hmm.
There is no linear path to this story.
That's an interesting approach. I thought it was going to be more like there's two campaigns.
No, no. It's gonna be kind of was how kind of the first game was, where like you were given three locations of three enemies. You can choose which order you want to do those three locations.
That's really cool.
Mirage attempted this, but not very smoothly, which is
Well,
why I'm a bit concerned, because this makes it hard to make it a compelling narrative if it feels like you're doing the same thing.
I feel like the way they're going to counter that is you have two characters that play very different. But if you're not going to be forcing like one character over another character, then you kind of run into that issue where you're kind of dealing with repetitive gameplay, and that is something that ideally they would avoid because they have two very different play styles and so many layers to the stealth and hopefully combat mechanics.
Mm-hmm. As you've seen in the reveal trailer, he had a different weapon in one of the shots.
I saw, yeah, like a club-like object. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like,
And then let's also speak about AC Infinity.
yes. So let me open that doc the article, have in front of me. So,
So they're doing season passes, not season, battle pass, that's what it's called. Where it's like they call them projects and they have their like own 20 levels. And then it's understood that this will happen with every Assassin's Creed, but they expect not red, sorry, shadows to be supported for 3 years.
hmm.
And these projects will be added constantly. They're focused on DLC, but they will have a narrative behind them, offering the players to earn cosmetic items as well. And then they're
So,
gonna have a lot more monetization, I expect, but this battle pass is what we know of so far, aside from the item shop, which is pretty obvious.
we already know about the that Insider Gaming also posted another article kind of breaking down the Helix.
Yeah,
Like,
the Helix points, which have been a thing for a long time, but yeah, these are the pricing. It's gonna be $5 for 500, 1,150, $10, 2,300, $20, 4,200, $35, and then $6,650.
the question's gonna be, what are you gonna use that currency for? Is it gonna be the
Item
for
shop.
items, like the
No,
current,
the
like
item shop, they like sell you skins, skins for your horses, skins for your weapons, skin for your everything.
so basically what they've been
I have
doing
a
for
wolf. I turned my horse into a wolf in AC Valhalla.
what?
Yes, it's just a big wolf. My mount.
That's crazy.
They got crazy with those item shops, and they sell really well in Valhalla. I expect this monetization to be twice as money. This monetization.
So are you saying I'm gonna if I want to play as Rayman in one of these Assassin's Creed spin-offs, I need to spend $50 to unlock the Rayman skin?
I don't think they go that far. But yeah, they're getting quite. They don't care. As long as it sells, they'll do anything basically.
Well, it also kind of ties into another thing that they're doing, which is they're doing this with Star Wars Outlaws too, which is they're giving people the option to access the ultimate edition of the game, which is close to like $140 when tax is included and everything, and you can just pay $18 a month, and you can just get access to that alongside 3 days early access for the game, and they're probably figuring, hey, if we can, if we kind of keep pushing this on people and giving people this option, then they might be more willing to pay for the DLC. And
So there is also the gold edition, which does include the season pass, which is much cheaper, I think at $110,
yeah,
which is still cheaper than the 140 version.
yeah, that is just really
Yeah,
big.
3 cosmetic packs make it $30 extra.
So essentially, the Ultimate Edition is just needless. If you're gonna really spend
If you
any,
really care about those skins, you get the ultimate edition.
okay,
In which, those cosmetic packs are like just some skins. A skin for your ship, a skin for your bike.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. Which I wonder if Warner Brothers plans to do that. Because I don't know if you remember the Wonder Woman game. There was there was jobs for live service people.
Oh yeah,
And people
and
speculated they were turning the game live service, but they said no, the game is a single player game.
but you can always monetize a single player game.
I think they're gonna go the Ubisoft route now to have their own Warner Brothers store.
And I mean, and if a Wonder Woman game, you can easily make a ton of costumes
Oh
based on
yeah,
TV shows,
you're gonna
etc.
get some horny gamers.
A Cellblade cross promotion. Let's go.
They're not gonna go that far.
Oh come on,
Yeah,
you'll get Japan numbers then, man.
I just wanna. I think I'm worried about the monetization here because I know Ubisoft. I know Ubisoft will keep pushing until they can't. That is their motto.
Well,
Milk
hope
every cent.
well, my only hope with all the monetization elements for the this new Assassin's Creed is if it's only cosmetic and you can just enjoy the game for what it is.
Hmm.
Because everything
I'm sure it'll
that,
be only cosmetic, but they're planning to have some story content in these battle passes.
so that's gonna be outside of the
This is gonna be
season,
outside of the game.
so it'll be outside of the season pass content.
Yeah, the season pass content just includes the 2 expansions, I believe.
Okay, so and they're gonna have other story content locked to these battle passes.
Yeah, I have a feeling they aren't gonna be very huge though. There'll be something, like these smaller scale stuff.
Probably just some side missions, if
Yeah.
kind of just that you just kind of see in the open world in the game, right, in the game anyway, and it's just extra stuff to get current the microtransaction currency or something.
Hmm. Yeah, and then we should also talk about being forced to have this platform forever, basically.
That's gonna be a problem because while Ubisoft confirmed that you don't you only need to go online to just update the game to to get the rest of the data to install the game because that's how Ubisoft game.
You mean discs don't have the full games? Color me shocked.
I know, right? It's not like this hasn't been the case since the launch of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or anything.
Yeah, but
No.
Xbox is the most egregious.
Uh oh yeah, absolutely. But with I vividly remember when I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla on sale for like $20 at one point, and I popped up the skin. It was only like 500 megabytes, and I'm like, "Where's the rest of the game?" And it's even worse with Activision stuff with Call of Duty, where it's not even 500 megabytes, just like 1 gig, if that.
Yeah, that's it's over. It's Joe over for that
Over.
era of gaming.
Yep, that's why I predominantly buy digital, unless a game is on sale physically.
Yeah, and then I'd like to talk about the future of AC for as we wrap up this topic.
Sounds great.
So for the pipeline in the games, which will be running in the Anvil pipeline, which is expected to be a Ubisoft Universal Engine soon. They will be doing next year Project Invictus, which is a multiplayer AC project, which I don't expect much of.
Did do you remember back in the day, like around Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, that's some kind of multiplayer mode?
Yeah, yeah, it was like a cat and mouse type mode.
Do you think that's what this will be going for? But instead of just
No,
ran
I don't know. They're doing a full-fledged game to this. There's got to be something more.
potentially, if we're gonna be
I
expected,
have. I was thinking maybe have you heard of For Honor?
I heard about that game. Yes.
And then they could potentially make some sort of MMO.
Hmm. Honestly, that would be a pretty smart idea on their part because, like, you can kind of have it framed as you make your own custom assassin and the most popular characters in the Assassin's Creed franchise, or like NPCs you can get quests from or something.
Hmm. That
So that,
is.
yeah, for sure.
And then we have Hex in 2025, which will be a 5-year development cycle, which is better because AC Valhalla is 3 years.
I mean, technically, if we want to be real, they kept supporting that game at least for like a good chunk of this generation.
Montreal is a very huge studio, I want to say. They have 700 people at least, I want to say.
Oh, I
Uh,
vanished.
They have like
Continue.
700 people, and they have like multiple s- teams basically in that studio. They're
Hmm.
also having the what's it called? Prince of Persia remake from there. It's just a very huge studio, so it doesn't really affect them, the support.
Banner.
But it's just like AC Valhalla was such a mess because of the rush timeline. Like the code was so jumbled up, they don't know how to fix some stuff in the patches.
I remember when that game originally came out, the performance mode had a lot of screen tearing on all
Oh
consoles.
yes. Like I'm glad they're finally giving these studios time like to make games.
This is across the entire industry that developers need time to make their games. If they
Yeah.
have to rush stuff out the door, how do you expect a quality game?
It's
And
just
if that
very interesting. It seems like Ubisoft is actually trying for once.
this also applies to other publishers like EA too, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and then Hex is gonna be like one of like for Old Guard, it's like one of their dream games in this setting.
It's so cool the setting and the whole idea of like yeah, like the Salem witch trials era. You play as a female witch. That is so cool. That honestly between kind of having like this Japan focused area for this latest one and having like that so that interesting such an interesting location for a video game in general for the next major Assassin's Creed title. That is really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and then this is gonna be a shorter project than Shadows will be because it's gonna be a more linear title, so it'll be easier to beat.
Honestly, games don't need to be massive.
Yeah, yeah, that's why they want Shadows to be as massive as it is. So they want to like give themselves more time before they have to make their next RPG. That's why they want to support it for a long time.
That makes a lot of sense. That's what they did with Valhalla too.
So like they're gonna have their RPG and then they're gonna have like these smaller games to like, it's like a subscription service, Infinity basically. Where like you have a big RPG and then you have these smaller games to fill up the gaps.
In a lot of ways, like the Infinity is this Infinity launcher or platform is going to be like Call of Duty, where
Yeah,
you have
not only will it have a separate game, but it's gonna have modern day be its own experience on the platform.
hmm,
So modern day won't exist in games anymore. There'll be like experience on the Infinity Hub.
so the modern day storyline. What I haven't really followed the modern day side of Assassin's Creed in a while,
Yeah,
but
I believe they're doing a time jump,
a
like a
time jump.
massive time jump, like future, far future. That's a new
That would,
cast of characters and all.
if you're gonna start like if you're gonna have this new like launcher, and you kind of make and build a new platform essentially, you might as well wipe the slate clean, so to speak, for the modern day stuff and start fresh.
That is true. Yeah, it's just interesting how they're separating experiences from the game as like separate experiences. Because
I
there's
feel like
always
this
been that disconnect in AC games where half the people hate modern day.
that's true. This is them basically trying to streamline the process, kind of. And if people
hmm
want to engage with it, they can, but they don't have to because the game are very standalone. You can just enjoy the games for what they are.
Yep, that's true. And I think that's a wrap for AC.
Yes, the first major topic.
But
And
before we move on to the next topic, I will need to be back right back.
okay, so
Can you keep
what?
the can you keep it occupied for next moments?
Oh, of course, man.
Thanks.
So while my buddy is MIA for a little bit, I will briefly touch on a couple of some of the smaller one of the smaller news pieces, which is that they're making a Tomb Raider series on Amazon, and it officially got greenlit. And that is interesting because Tomb Raider is also getting a new game, and it's being published by Amazon. And originally, the Tomb Raider game project was being made by well, it's still being made by Crystal Dynamics, but it was originally going to be published by like the Embracer Group, but that's not happening anymore. So it really kind of feels like Amazon is trying to do what PlayStation is doing with their franchises, like the Last of Us games, The Last of Us Part One, releasing alongside season one of the TV show, and The Last of Us Part Two remastered, releasing before season two of Last of Us drops, and screenshots of Last of Us Part Two to well, not Part Two, but the second season of Last of Us recently came out, and it seemingly looks like that title, not that title, the second season of the show is gonna directly adapt the events of the second game, and we'll see how the community reacts to that. That'll be fun or horrifying or both. But going back to the Tomb Raider stuff, Tomb Raider's in a very interesting spot as a franchise. As of early this year, they recently made a remastered collection of three Tomb Raider titles from the PlayStation 1 era with all the PC expansions and the like. And the franchise is potentially lined up to be in a good spot for the future. And as someone who enjoyed the reboot Tomb Raider titles, despite some minor story, but despite not enjoying some story elements in throughout the trilogy, I'm very curious. But hey, buddy, so we can, unless you have anything to add about like the Tomb Raider stuff, I just kind of used that to fill the air while you was gone for a little bit.
Sorry, I got real thirsty after Assassin's Creed.
That's good, man. You talked a lot, so it's all good, buddy. So
Yeah.
I fill the air by talking about the
What I will say one thing. I now
Yes.
understand why they're publishing the game.
You don't now you understand. Yes. Yeah, I was gonna touch on that because it was probably part of the contract deal where like, hey, we'll fund your game, but we want to have some kind of TV show to go along with it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I'm sure Embracer was happy to take that.
absolutely, Embracer just accepted the bag while their building was on fire.
We don't have to fund this game. You guys publish it, sure, sure. You can have the show. You guys can also have the what's it called? Lord of the Rings show. Because they're
Yeah,
on the movie IP too now.
yeah, exactly. Have fun, go at it.
Go at it. Just cover all these bills and you got it, bro.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Yeah. And
But
then oh
to kind of recap, while you was gone, I mentioned some background information like the Tomb Raider remaster that came out earlier this year, and I alluded to the Last of Us TV show for like a comparison point. So, do you want to talk while we're on the topic of video games and television? Do you want to talk about the screenshots or whatever from Last of Us season two?
I have no comment aside from Ellie does not look at the right age.
All I know is I hope they got great security for the Abby actor. That's all I'm hopeful for.
I'm just saying Ellie looks the exact same age as the first season.
I don't know, man.
There's supposed to be like a 5 year time jump or 6 years? Because she goes from 13 like to 19 basically.
Maybe they just for the actress just maybe put like scar makeup on her face, and yeah, that she's older now. That solves the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. And also the Abby actor is probably gonna bulk up because the actor they announced is pretty Ellie looking.
Hey, you know what? Maybe maybe they could just kind of say, oh, you know, I don't know what I was gonna say. Don't worry about it. So I
It-
guess
yeah, I believe that Abby actor is the actor who plays Cassie Drake.
hmm.
So
Oh,
is the
it,
yeah the same actor was casted, I believe, that they used for the Cassie Drake in Uncharted 4.
oh wow, that's cool. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because in some not Insomniac, Naughty Dog knows her.
Hmm.
I wonder if any of this is after post, doing mocap of Uncharted 5.
Potentially, because
Because
that is rumored.
I mean, that trailer was. I don't think you put that trailer in for no reason.
No, that I the question more so, when is that logically gonna?
I
But I,
don't think it's anytime soon because we know visual arts is involved. So like, I think they're involved with some sort of Uncharted project, whether it be Uncharted 1 remake or Uncharted 5. They're
Mhm.
involved with something, and then they got taken off the project and did the Last of Us remake, and then I'm guessing they're helping on it again.
I guess I guess we'll see, but we'll touch on
Perhaps this week.
yeah, man. Hopefully, yeah. Do you want to just segue into the PlayStation Showcase predictions, or you want to save that to the end?
Let's save that for the end.
Okay, man. So, what's the next topic do you want to touch on? You want to touch
Let's
on?
talk about the Horizon Lego game.
Oh yeah, it's not like we don't have enough Horizon games.
To be fair, that Lego game would look nice.
It would be pretty cool. Not gonna lie, it would be pretty cool.
They already have a
Um,
Horizon Lego set, so
maybe that was all part of the plan. Maybe they got maybe they took assets from the game, or they basically took the Lego models that they've been making and are using that as reference material for the project.
and Tom Henderson says there is a trailer ready and soon.
Do you think that's a game that's coming out this year then?
I speculate, yeah, because it's a collaboration, not an internal Sony project.
So this could be something along the lines of Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin situation then.
Okay, yeah. Speaking of Stellar Blade, do you know it's not a second party? I mean, they don't own the IP?
PlayStation doesn't own the IP.
No.
That is interesting. That is rare, honestly, for PlayStation.
That I can tell you, I have a theory is because it was originally announced for all platforms.
That's probably why. that's why that Sony doesn't own it because they were in the building for that game exception.
Yeah, they
That
were
they,
there to fund it
yeah,
at start. That is like one of the rarest.
honestly, with that game being such a huge success for them in like Japan, a region that they need wins in. Like let's be real. Like PlayStation, we're not. There's no debate regarding the success of PlayStation in like the Western regions, like the U.S. and Europe and the like. But in Japan, Nintendo and PC are crushing them.
Oh
So
yeah, that's for sure.
so they need wins.
You know who's not crushed in Japan?
Yeah, Xbox.
Yeah, it's almost like they shut down with Japan Studio.
I know, right? What a shame.
What a shame. But yeah, I hope we see it this week, I guess, if the showcase does happen this week.
You know what? This isn't coffee. This is Phil's tears. I'm kidding. But to get back on topic with the Horizon Lego thing, um, sacred symbols. This was one of the topics, and one of the things they was talking about, like it wouldn't play like a Lego game, like like the Skywalker saga that came out like a few years ago. It would play more so like Horizon would play. So I'll just check one thing real quick. Okay, my phone's battery is all right. So the Horizon Lego game would play like Horizon 1. And a speculation that the Sacred Boys were kind of saying was it's highly likely that not likely, but a possibility that the Horizon 1 remake is this Lego game. What do you think about that?
No,
No, you don't think?
props. I'm pretty sure the Horizon remake was is a lighting basically remaster.
Yeah,
Updating character models, the lighting. It's gonna get the $10 upgrade like The Last of Us 2 remastered at the top of this year.
yeah. They also take in Zero Dawn off PlayStation Plus for a reason because they want to sell the game again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is Forbidden West on PC?
It is on PC Forbidden West.
That is
And
very interesting. You'd think they would wait for the remake.
both Horizon games. My theory always was when this remake was announced was this remake is just the PC version of the game that they're just going to be porting to PlayStation 5 because they have a PC version of Zero Dawn. That was one of the first games as part of
Hmm.
the PC initiative. So
Yeah.
it's likely that this remake is basically that, but with some of the stuff they put into Forbidden West. And
I disagree.
no, okay.
I think they're gonna use the Forbidden Tech and put it into Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hmm.
They're
I
gonna
could
like
believe
they're
it.
gonna do like it's not a remake, but it's like a between remake and remaster type situation. I don't even think they'll call it a remake.
Just a new release basically, so they can get
Yeah,
extra money.
that's my idea. And we still have no idea when it's coming, but it's still kind of interesting how the Horizon TV show hasn't really started filming yet.
I feel like they're gonna that they'll yeah, did you know? I feel like this is going to be similar to what Nintendo does sometimes, where they sit on games that are finished and they release them closer to like when they're ready to release it. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Metroid Prime Remastered, that was finished for like over a year before they released it.
Hmm.
So what Sony's doing with this Horizon remake is a remaster, whatever they're calling it, is they're saving it for when a TV show is announced, and it's going to release alongside that while this Lego game is going to be part of like a holiday title thing alongside that Rumored Astrobot game.
I could see that. But it's also kind of weird because I suspected that they would do the Ghost 2 game with the Ghost movie, but that movie's not anywhere close to production.
No,
So
again, that's
I don't know what they're gonna do, but I would speculate they do the Ghost 2 PC port with the movie.
I could see that. That's probably the game plan. Like, because PlayStation isn't going to do day and date with PC for at least the next year or two.
Yeah, but
So
if yeah, God of War Ragnarok is also coming next.
yes, it is, and
That
that's
is a
going to
good segue.
yes, it is.
So what do you think, Mr. I haven't finished?
Yes, there's a lot of PlayStation games that I haven't finished, and I will hopefully rectify that in the future. But look, my mindset. I said this when the Xbox titles were brought over to other consoles, and I'll say this with Sony's efforts with PC. I think it's a good thing that more people get to play these games. And what
Hmm.
PlayStation is doing by having these titles not being day and date launches and coming a little while later, it basically encourages more sales. Is it consumer friendly? Not really. What Microsoft does is a bit more consumer friendly because if you buy the game on console, you typically get access to it on PC through their storefront. Or you could just, if you don't want to buy it on Xbox, you could buy it on PC at launch. With what Sony typically does, they launch a game on console first, and then either like 6 months or 1 to 2 years later, they bring it to PC, and you buy it again, typically at full price. If
Hmm.
you own both platforms, it's not really very consumer friendly. But Sony's approach is, but it doesn't matter if it's consumer friendly or not. It is smart financially because regardless, people will buy it again if they because they're gonna want to play it on a better rig, or if they
Yep.
never owned a PlayStation before, they don't care. They're gonna buy it. Like as we're recording right now, Ghost of Tsushima is doing incredibly well on PC.
Oh
And
yeah.
when did Ghost of Tsushima release?
2020.
That was 4 years ago, and it's
Actually,
releasing
in July will be its 4-year anniversary.
exactly nearly 4 years ago, and people on PC are buying it at full price.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of hype for that game, especially around AC Shadows reveal.
Absolutely, very smart.
I find Ubisoft very interesting with their release timings. Because if you think about it, AC Valhalla is right before God of War Ragnarok.
Hmm.
AC
Oh,
Shadows right before Ghost 2.
so what you're saying is Ubisoft kind of knows what Sony's doing because they're
I don't
close.
know if you remember, but the year that God of War Ragnarok came out, Ubisoft
Yeah,
released a DLC for Valhalla called Dawn of Ragnarok, like months before we knew when the release date was. But it was perfectly timed.
it's almost as if Ubisoft knows that the PlayStation thing is going to sell a little bit better than their thing, and they're just trying to get ahead of it. That's what
They
it
just,
sounds.
they want to steal some of that hype.
You can't really blame them because they
I
can
just
leverage.
find it very interesting though.
It is interesting, and I feel like it's smart because they can leverage the fact they're a multi-platform publisher, and they can just benefit from sales on everything rather than just one.
Exactly. You there?
But yeah, any
Okay.
other thoughts about the Lego Horizon game? And my question to you: do you think Sony's going to do more Lego collaborations? Because when I was listening to Sacred Symbols about this topic, my mind instantly went, I want a Lego God of War. Because seriously, you have all the old eras. Look, you can make fun of me. You can rightfully make fun of me about the new God of War games, but I played the old PS2, PSP, PS3 ones. If they made a Lego God of War game and it covered like the original trilogy, the PSP games, man, out Lord Sonic will get the Blades of Chaos out.
Oh,
I
well,
I
I get my axe.
yeah, exactly. But I think that would be really cool. Like if Sony does this, or like a Lego Ratchet and Clank. Yeah,
That was my first thought.
yeah, man. Imagine a Lego Ratchet and Clank where,
It's a very interesting type of game for Lego. 'Cause it's a very colorful game.
oh my god, imagine all the destruction with Lego. Like in Ratchet and
I feel
Clank,
like
you have the.
I feel like Ratchet's already too similar to go to Lego.
I think it'll look really. I think it'll be really fun because
I
like,
feel like the impact won't be the same. Because it's not going to be as drastic as you going from Horizon to Lego. Because Ratchet's already got that breaking everything mechanic.
That is very true, and the bolts kind
I
of
feel like
function.
it's just too similar.
And the bolts kind of
It's already a Pixar movie. You don't need to go there. You
plus
have other IPs, for example, Uncharted, Lego Uncharted.
Lego Parappa the Rapper, uh, Lego Gran Turismo, or Lego Twisted Metal.
Yeah,
That
I don't think Twisted Metal is going anywhere anymore.
I don't
After
think
that
that's
game got canceled.
it did get canceled, but I'm thinking of like fun Lego spin-offs.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the IP. I don't know if they want to. I don't think they're going to do anything aside from the show.
Maybe they could do some kind of more. I mean, this kind
Only
of
thing I
natural.
could see them doing is collaboration maybe with Rocket League.
That would be really cool. I mean, some of the some of the matches I played with you in Rocket League, I somehow had access to a Sweet Tooth car. So
Ah.
when yeah, remember? So maybe other Twisted Metal cars could be Rocket League
Hmm.
cosmetic, or there's that like rocket racing in Fortnite. You can have Twisted Metal tracks or Twisted Metal elements in that game too if you want.
That's true. But I think that's a wrap for Lego
Yeah,
Horizon.
maybe. Let's see.
Toys for Bob now.
I don't. Well, for that, I don't really think it. Well, before I say anything, do you think it means anything?
I think it means they're doing Crash next.
No, that's a normal studio logo, the Tiki.
I think there was the Spiral thing that was very speculative. It also made me very curious because if Spiral was coming this year, which everybody speculated, because they just came off COD, correct me if I'm wrong, like a year ago.
Yeah, well, the whole thing with Toys for
And
Bob
then they
was
did last year, they did the Crash Brawler.
yeah. So basically, the whole story with that is Toys for Bob was a support originally after Crash 4. They basically had to step in and help out as a COD support team for specifically Vanguard and I think Warzone. And
Yeah.
then a lot of the art team left because they didn't really have any work to do. And a lot of the work for the Crash Team Rumble project was done already. And they were just kind of waiting to start development for that title. And
And now they're indie studio. I don't think they're doing Spyro. I think they're gonna do a next Crash game, which will probably be pretty safe, and Microsoft will fund it. And
wh-
Microsoft can finally say we have one of those games.
why do you think they would? Well, why do you think it's Crash and not Spyro?
I just think it's the safest choice. In a situation where you just split off from a major publisher and you're
I
an
mean,
indie studio now.
I agree with you and your logic, but in that press statement they recently put out, not recently, but when they became an independent developer, they said keep your horns on, and that's a direct reference to Spyro.
Yes, it's there is a lot of teasers, I won't lie, but like they're teasers.
Or maybe what you're thinking, and hear me out for a moment. Maybe the contract they have with Microsoft and or Activision is for two titles. One is a Crash Bandicoot title, since they could
I
just
don't know if they're big enough for two titles.
I mean not back I mean not like at the same time specifically. I meant like one title, like you have a Crash 5, and then after that a few years later you get a Spyro.
Hmm.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, because I think what your train of logic makes a lot of sense, because like a lot of the work for a Crash title is technically done already.
I just
Yeah,
had a thought.
go ahead.
This Tiki image is purple.
That's why people saying it's Spyro, but I
Could it
don't
be a
think that
crossover?
you think it's a crossover.
No, could it be? I'm asking.
Oh, could it be a crossover? Right? Honestly, that would be interesting because they before they shut down Crash Team Rumble, Spyro was added to the gameplay format of whatever they of the core Crash 4 engine or the tech they use for Crash 4.
Yeah, it's just very interesting situation. But I don't think they're gonna release anything this year
No, they're not. I don't think so because they
because people
recently.
speculated they're probably part of the Activision pipeline this year, a Spyro game. But
I never expected them to, even if regardless if they're making a Crash game, a Spyro game, a new IP. I didn't expect them to have their title out this year at all because they're. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are a remote studio now. They don't have their own studio anymore.
oh,
So
they're
the old
also indie.
exactly. So
What do
I
you think about the AAA quality of their games now?
do you think they'll be AAA?
I don't know, but if, let's say we go back to Crash 4.
Well, Crash, I don't
Do you think this affects the quality of their games?
I really don't think so. I feel like what if anything, you would get a less bloated game because as much as I love Crash 4, it definitely at especially specifically towards like the last third of the game, it definitely feels a tad bloated with how long some of the levels were. So and the whole idea of the inverted mode, which basically is like this like mirror mode, so to speak, but with added visual effects, like the whole like getting like the a complete completion. No, no. So I feel like if they make another Crash title, it it's not going to be as small, so to speak, as like the Naughty Dog era Crash Bandicoot games like Crash 2 or Crash 3.
Hmm.
But it will probably be it won't be as long as Crash 4 if they're making a Crash 5 because in the end of the day, if they're a smaller studio and Microsoft is we will get to that, we will get to Microsoft in a bit, but the
How much do you
prevalent.
think Microsoft would fund?
How long do you think they'll fund them?
Now, how for how much, like the budget wise?
I probably double A at most. I don't expect them to get like a triple A budget because
Do you think it goes to the Game Pass def execution?
I don't. Well, here's the thing: it would be a multi-platform game.
Yes.
So, and since the Switch, and since Crash 4 runs on a Nintendo Switch, I would be very surprised for
Oh, it
whatever
does? That's interesting.
it does. It actually runs on the Switch relatively decent. It runs on a Switch better than the Insane Trilogy does on Switch, which is a surprise.
Wow.
Um,
That's a shock.
yeah, I know, right? Wow. But I feel like with uh if I had to make a guess, I feel like the next title is definitely gonna be less ambitious than Crash 4 or even
Hmm.
Spy Ignited Trilogy was. And I feel like it's gonna be multi-platform because there's as much as I like the colorful platformers, they don't sell on Xbox. Psychonauts didn't sell well on Xbox, and
Poor Double Fine.
we will get to that later. But the whole situation it just kind of boils down to: do we believe Microsoft will continue funding like smaller titles? And the answer to that is
No.
no. And there's just a lot of confusion in general between like the different the heads of the three-headed Hydra. But we will get to that later. But I feel like that's it with Toys for Bob. So next up, Lord Rockstar. This is all you. Dan,
So we will get into this is a relatively small topic, but an interesting topic. Dan Houser, who's known as basically Rockstar's main one of the main founders and the main writer behind everything, basically,
Rockstar's Miyamoto, so to speak.
so to speak. And he has started his own studio because he left right after Red Dead Redemption 2. He went on sabbatical and then he announced his leaving. And then I believe last year he announced some sort of new studio, which was worded weirdly like he wasn't making games anymore. Well, now it
Hmm.
seems he's making everything through every medium with his first audio project with a famous actor, by the way, from The Walking Dead.
Hmm.
Let
So
me look up his
what?
name real quick.
Probably the guy that does Rick Grimes,
Not,
maybe.
yeah, the guy who does crimes.
Sorry,
Andrew Lincoln, that's his name.
I just want to check my phone's battery. Um,
Yes,
but
it's gonna be releasing on Spotify.
did you get a chance to listen to it? I didn't get a chance to. I'm sorry.
I think it's coming out next week, if I'm
Oh,
correct.
well, in time for the next episode,
We'll see if I get to it.
hopefully. But it
June
kind
10th, sorry, not next week, June 10th.
of okay. Well, we'll definitely cover that. But it sounds interesting that they're kind of doing a little bit of what Kojima does. They're kind of experimenting with different mediums, playing
Hmm.
around with
Well,
it.
Kojima never did like a thing. He just had like his own podcast where he interviews like other people.
Okay, I guess a better comparison would be Ninja Theory then, because Ninja Theory's playing around with the audio tech and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that horror project they're working on.
It's the name of the thing will be called A Better Paradise by Absurd Ventures.
Hmm. Well,
It'll
we
be a
will
12 episode
12 episode.
audio fiction series,
Sounds good.
and
We will
it's named Volume One.
volume one.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Just like us.
Just like us.
But honestly, do you think my theory is do you think this is them trying to build up some IP so that when they make a video game they can kind of base it off it?
I don't know. This reminds me of what's the studio name? Lithos. You remember
Can you
Lithos? The studio?
Lithos?
Yeah, the one by John Garvin and the one guy from the visual arts team.
Oh, and I didn't haven't really paid attention to their work.
Yeah, but they've been all about transmedia, like comic books and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like their game started as an NFT game, but I think it's started to go away from that. Like a video game dealing with global warming with some NFT elements. But I don't know if they're still doing the NFT stuff.
NFT video game about global warming. Isn't that kind of a conflict of interest?
Don't, but yeah, I mean, John Garvin wrote Days Gone, and I prefer not to talk about Days Gone.
Oh, come on, man! Isn't it like a game of the year contender or something like that?
Yeah, I will say it's days long of my life.
Days long. Oh, I guess you're not a fan of writing, huh?
Or of Sony Bend.
God,
I will
yeah,
never forgive them for Uncharted Golden Abyss.
I didn't hate that game. I thought that game was fine.
It was fine, but like this ain't Uncharted, bro. That's what I'll say.
Fair enough. But the next topic is we're gonna the Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC.
Yes, it has been doing amazing numbers. I think at a peak at 72,000 players last time I saw.
In the midst of all the controversy too. Isn't that interesting? Everyone complaining about it.
Almost like it doesn't matter.
I, I I'm joking aside. I can kind of understand why people are annoyed, but at the same time, it's like
I feel for the people who can't play the game, but in Sony's case, those numbers don't mean much for them.
that's the hard truth, honestly. And
I,
it's
I hate to be a cold businessman like King, but it's the reality.
he's not a don't I would call him a cold businessman. It's
Those your words?
uh I don't know, man. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, just like we're
Yes.
entitled to our own opinions, and hopefully we don't get made fun of in the comment section. But we will find out.
Hey, I'll take any comments I can get.
Fair enough, brother. Fair enough. But
But I'm happy PC players get to enjoy some high budget greatness.
honestly, like I feel like the whole play the reason the whole PlayStation Network requirement is like such a sticking point for Sony isn't just engagement numbers and metrics they can give to their shareholders. It's because they want to have their own launcher. Like, I mean, look at the
I'm not
PlayStation
sure
thing.
if that will work out.
It probably won't work out, but they're gonna try it anyway.
How hated is the Xbox PC launcher?
I think people just
People bought Starfield on Steam to avoid the Xbox launcher.
options, right? That's what Xbox thrives on, options.
Yes, that is options. But
But
I'm happy people are enjoying it. I don't know if I have anything else to say about this.
well, we as we mentioned before, God of War Ragnarok is coming to PC, and then the only recent PlayStation games for this generation anyway that do not have PC ports include, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man 2,
which is
Stellar Blade.
practically on PC because people made a PC version from the leaks.
Oh God, or sorry, and those.
It's speaking of the PSN thing, you know people can log into PSN on the pirated versions.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but I don't know if Sony catches you. That's like a bannable offense, basically.
That is going to be a problem.
Imagine getting trophies on a pirated game.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Yeah, you were
But
saying
going,
before?
but going over the PC ports, I feel like, well, I don't think we're going to be seeing. Well, for the Nvidia leak, they mentioned Ratchet and Clank, but obviously, now that was ripped apart. That was just planned well ahead of time. Bloodborne is a possibility. Question mark TM. I don't know. Copium potentially.
Bloodborne is like the ultimate copium.
It is the ultimate, but if they make a PlayStation 5 version, you might as well put that on PC eventually.
See you on
So
PS6.
PS. Yeah, I could kind of see them pulling something like that because they did that with Demon Souls.
Hey, a PS6 remake, bro.
Yeah, man, that's how they get the that's how they get the sales.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Perhaps when some software is also more free.
potentially. And also like for the PC stuff, the only like we mentioned Spider-Man, but other titles like Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin do not have PC versions. So maybe those will come out later on, but we don't really know the contracts for that. Maybe this year we'll see Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin come to PC, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Rise of the Ronin is interesting.
It is. Yeah,
But
team help
yeah,
game.
Team Ninja is just a very weird studio.
You know what? At least they're on a platform where people buy their games.
Yeah, another Ninja studio.
God, I'm kidding, but uh
I hear Hellblade 2 isn't on the Steam Top 100.
it's not it's in the Steam top 100 or it's not in the Steam
It's
top
not.
100.
I think that's what I heard yesterday.
Well, the game isn't out yet technically, so
But like
I'm
make
not
for like pre-orders or something.
that's a problem. We will touch on that when we get to my topic with the Xbox stuff, but moving on. Speaking of,
I will guide this topic. How about?
go ahead, buddy.
So I have an issue. There's something I don't like what Take Two is doing.
Go ahead.
Have you heard of Roll 7? They made that like skating game that came on PS Plus last year.
I know what you're gonna talk about. Yeah, I know what you're referring to. The private division being shuttered, basically.
But that's not my issue. My issue
That's
is Strauss-Zelnick claims they didn't shut it down.
but they did shut it down.
Yes, they did. It hasn't, because there has been some devs like leaking some stuff or something I heard. But I want to bring up another example. 2K Marlin, who made BioShock 2 in 2010, still have not been announced, shut down 14 years later.
They haven't put out a game since.
They,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
they don't
But
exist anymore. They just Take-Two doesn't want to announce they are gone.
how does that work?
I would guess for the stock price or something. They just don't acknowledge that it's gone. They just don't.
Is Schrodinger's developer?
Like, they're shutting down studios, just not officially.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna give Microsoft smoking a little bit, but at least they owned up to the fact that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Bethesda.
yeah. They're just this is like sneaky.
I don't like that. Like, does to just the for how
It's
for
been
develop?
14 years. Remind you, 2K Marley.
Oh God,
BioShock 2
Bioshock.
is a great game too.
It is. I actually played a decent amount of Bioshock too. I thought it was cool to play as the Big Daddy,
Yeah, me too. I love that dynamic.
and the whole idea of like you had the drill on, but you had to be mindful of fuel and everything. That was really interesting.
Yeah, but I just wanted to point that out because that's just some corporate behavior.
Yeah, but as we're on the topic of Take Two,
Yes. Let's talk about their investor call, basically. 2K will reveal a next game soon at Summer Game Fest. They call it a sequel to their biggest and most beloved franchise next month.
well, we already know GTA 6 got announced, so that rules that
And
out.
that's not part of 2K also.
Hmm,
Rockstar is their own publisher,
that's true.
independent and Take Two. There,
Well,
I don't think Mafia is big enough for it to be Mafia.
let's not beat around the bush here. This is clearly Borderlands.
That's what I agree with that. But I don't know if you remember a month ago, someone said that 2K is gearing up for a Mafia announcement.
That I mean that's true,
But
but
I
they could.
also another speculation. There has been one game that's been in dev hell like for a decade.
Are are you talking about Agents? That game
Bi- BioShock.
Bio. Hmm.
Remember that Antarctica game that was leaked?
Yeah, shout out Colin from Sacred Symbols. He talked about that.
Yeah. It was supposed to be announced a year ago, I want to say, or 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I
I
wonder,
I
this
forgot,
biggest and most beloved franchise. I don't feel like Borderlands is the most beloved.
dude. But what? But Judas is well. I mean, this is a bet me and you. I don't know about bet, but it's something we talked about before we decided on making this podcast. But we had this back and forth of I wasn't sure when Judas was coming out, but you was thinking it was this fall. But wouldn't this conflict with Judas? Or unless
No, this is different studios.
I know, but they're kind of same energy, maybe. I
Wait,
don't know.
I'm starting to think Judas might be 25.
Okay, so
I'm not even
but
sure if it'll be coming out in the next few years. It could be coming like announced and then announced for 2026.
that could I mean that's not unheard of.
Especially BioShock, which is known for its dev hell.
That is true, but let's not forget the whole like
But theoretically, it's long enough, and they were supposed to announce it a year or two ago, so this could make sense.
I agree with that.
Mafia is also possible because we know that rumor that they're gearing up for a Mafia announcement. It was the same guy who claimed that they were gearing up for a Judas like showcase or some sort of showing.
That's true. So
So I just doubt Mafia because they say biggest, and Mafia isn't really that big of a seller.
no, Bioshock would definitely sell well. And while it's not beloved, quote unquote, critically, the if it's not Bioshock, it's probably Borderlands
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which
because
they now own the studio.
that's true. Yeah, they saved them from
I kind of
the
question why they never bought them originally.
probably because they never felt the need to. That partnership was so
But
ironclad.
they got
But
such a good deal though, because they sold them like for half the price they bought them.
well,
The Embracer bought them for.
here's the thing with it. But the real reason they probably bought them is one, there's a Borderlands movie coming out in the future. So if the games do very well, like what happened with Fallout as of late, Take Two gets every bit of the profit.
Hmm.
They don't if they haven't already. And another thing
I feel
is
like their relationship also has been like for a long time. I feel like it's like the Insomniac Sony relationship.
exactly. So it's very likely that they saw like the writing on the wall that if they didn't step in and buy this developer, the developer would probably get shut down in a year or two. So they just bought the developer to just prevent that from happening to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to see what this is.
We don't have to wait long, man. Not even 2 weeks. We'll probably get an announcement of some kind.
Yes, I am personally hoping for Mafia though.
That would be really cool.
Speaking of other releases, something got dated, or
Yeah.
some sort of date. Fall 25 for my personal most anticipated game, Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes, as Lord Rockstar, you must be ecstatic that you know when this is coming out, so you can slot in. Hey, boss, I need time. I need a month off to play this.
Nah, but it's kind of a internal delay if you think about it, because they were going for spring originally.
Yes, but they saved themselves kind of by just saying
Yeah,
a blank.
it was just like speculation from the leaks.
Yep.
But I think a lot of devs right now are gonna be delaying or going earlier.
Well, I imagine that like PlayStation's probably like for a couple of their first party titles next year. Okay, we can launch a lot of this before
I'd
this
be worried
title.
about Venom though.
That's true. That's
I
probably a
suspect Ghost will be in a summer release, like the first game.
I mean,
Death
you can
Stranding 2 could be early release, early 24 release. Not 24, 25.
you can make the argument that Spider-Man 2 was rushed. So I mean, there's a possibility that
I could see them delaying it. That's true.
no, I'm not saying delay. I mean, just get the game out, not in the state that it's broken or anything, but get the game out probably like in like August or September or
Yeah, yeah. I imagine it'd be much easier to polish also compared to
that's
Spider-Man 2.
it's a smaller title,
Yeah,
and
and it's like an expansion basically.
and we already know that Wolverine, according to the leaks, that's coming out in 2026.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Imagine if they delayed it to early 26 and then late 26 Wolverine.
that would be crazy. That yeah, you have like the back to back Marvel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have another studio, perhaps Blue Point's new IP.
Hmm. A lot of
And
stuff to look into.
I'm just saying, I know a lot of devs are gonna be running from that date.
At least everyone knows a window now, so they can just kind of prepare in advance.
Oh, I've loved this to be the epic troll move to not release in fall 25 where everyone ran away from and there's no games.
Oh god, that'll be funny. No,
That'd
it's
be the
actually
epicest troll move ever.
no, no. What happens is let's go. Well, imagine if they just say, "Oh, actually, no, we're launching early 2026." Sorry, fam. And they're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Uh,
But
yeah, this is gonna be one of the biggest game launches of all time.
I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
My question for you, Lord Rockstar. would you be willing to play this very expensive experience on a Nintendo Switch 2? Because I have a suspicion that because the Switch
No,
2
this is
supposedly
gonna no, this is gonna take some next gen tech. I know Switch 2 is gonna catch up, not in the way that they're expanding. Because not only will it be like a city like GTA 5, but the rumors speculate they'll have like 70% of its interiors available to explore. And that's gonna be some hard SSD tech, in my opinion.
at the very least, would you suspect that GTA 5 will come to Switch?
I don't know after that Arkham Knight port.
I meant Switch 2 specifically.
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of speculation. I am hearing 4K on the Switch too.
No, basically what the Switch I reported on the Switch 2 is basically between a PS4 Pro and a Xbox Series S.
Mm,
So that basically ensures that's and me and other people speculate that that's a big reason Square Enix is pushing for across multiple platforms, because now they could put their Final Fantasy 16s and their 7 remakes and rebirths on a console that will sell in Japan.
I see.
Um, this could also potentially extend to some of the at least some of the a decent amount of the upcoming next gen only titles.
I see. I
Like,
see.
so that's why that's it was partially joking around, but that's why I asked you about
Yeah,
the
I'm already mad at Xbox for holding it back.
Xbox. Yeah, but you know
The
what?
Series S.
What's not holding back sales numbers, because GTA 5 apparently sold 200 million copies. Oh my god.
Yes. This is that remaster was feeling very nice now, I bet.
Oh yeah, man.
You got these all new kids with these new consoles.
Crazy.
And what's the number one console game, perhaps?
It is. It's up there with the Fortnites, the
Hey, you get a
Apex.
new console and you get a new paint job for GTA 5?
Yeah, why
Ooh,
not? Let's go. Money.
money. Don't forget, a lot of people like when they announced it originally, like PlayStation Plus subscribers got a $10 upgrade option.
That's right. Because uh because of
Also
there's
limited time though.
yep, PlayStation marketing. So,
Yes.
and to, I guess, cap off the GTA discussion, do you think GTA 6 will have marketing with PlayStation, or will it be its own standalone thing?
I think you're gonna see that PlayStation logo blasted across the screen.
Hmm.
I think you're gonna see that bundle.
With the PlayStation 5 Pro?
Oh, you bet you can expect it.
You know what? Now that I think about it, if this comes out full 2025, PlayStation could theoretically make a PlayStation 5 Pro bundle, like with the plates and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah, yeah.
around that, alongside other titles too, like Ghost 2 and a couple other games.
Mm-hmm. That is true. But I expect because Sony and Take-Two, they're like together. During the PS2, they were tight, and I think Xbox tried to get time exclusive for GTA 4, but they weren't able to.
The whole thing with Xbox with GTA is they initially took down
Yes,
Grand
I
Theft
know their
Auto.
history with GTA 3. That's
Is hindsight is something.
yeah,
Something.
they're not going to be able to translate to 3D, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Fast forward. Fast forward.
I
But
and don't forget they had that because they get into GTA 5 marketing because they canceled that exclusive title.
that's a trade off, I guess.
I just I think they're too connected to each other. And Xbox, what is that going to offer them with marketing? What is that going to really offer them?
Probably just a blank check if they really want to.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But if you think about the sales boost they would have on PlayStation.
well, we already know GTA is gonna do well on everything regardless, but I feel like the thing with PlayStation marketing is we'll get to this in the Xbox topic, but the idea of Game Pass, it discourages people from buying titles. And if people aren't actively buying the games on a platform, then it kind of just like tells publishers don't waste resources bringing it to a console that people aren't going to buy games. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not about people don't buy games. I bought plenty of stuff on my Xbox Series X, but because of Game Pass, you unfortunately some people develop the mentality of we don't need to spend money because I could just play it on Game Pass in the future, and that is unless they do some kind of Game Pass bundle, whatever with GTA, and I highly doubt that. I don't really think Microsoft even really cares about the marketing. What Microsoft cares about is they just get GTA in the first place, and if they can get that on an Xbox Series S, that's enough for them.
Yeah. Speaking of Microsoft, a studio they used to work with, No Rest for the Wicked, is a Take-Two private division game. Former private division, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, No Rest for the Wicked is still in early access. It didn't get delisted. Developers are still working on it. So I guess the private division stuff, with them specifically, is just a
They
strict
didn't
public.
really. I thought they just laid them off, not shut them down.
Moon Studios?
No
No.
private division.
Oh no, developers got no, well.
Doesn't it still exist as a publisher?
It still exists as a publisher, but some developers on the developers under that specifically
Oh, they
the
closed the studio's Roll 7 Intercept Games.
yeah, they closed those studios unfortunately, but the
Yeah.
public got heavily downsized.
Yeah,
Square
yeah, yeah.
Enix recently too with their Square Enix collective stuff, where they downsized that division too. So it's not really ideal that these big publishers do that because like it just makes you look better. Like one story that one an example is with EA originals, Tales of Kanzera Zao. That's under that, and that game is genuinely really solid and enjoyable. And the developer is happy with the success they got from the game between sales and
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation Plus extra, bag and whatever. And I'm so you shared this with me, and I was surprised to see this. I also saw this in like the news feed on for the Lords of Gaming site Discord I'm on. Like the whole thing with the Ascension Studios. If yeah, that's a developer, correct?
Yes, I believe that
Yes,
is
yeah,
the correct name.
Studios. They're actually getting every whatever sales that game gets or the money they get with the Game Pass and PS Plus deals. They're getting all the money, and that is genuinely surprising considering the game costed EA a lot of money, and I kind of
Well,
make
they
what
downsized the studio, but they're keeping them alive.
it makes me wonder. What do you think about that?
I think they have a future for them because I believe they're on their next project now.
They are.
And their work with UE5 must is also pretty good, useful.
It is. I mean, it definitely had its performance problems, but it was
They
one
were
of
working on some new tech recently for the UE5 that they're adding
yes,
to the game.
yep, to bring FSR free to consoles, which would help improve performance. Which specifically on the PS5 version of Immortals of Avium, the frame rate can definitely get a little spooky in places. On Xbox, it's largely fine, but on PlayStation, unless they addressed it in a patch recently, as of this recording, I haven't tested the game on PS5. I played for like the first 2 or so hours on Xbox, so I'm not sure how it runs specifically on PlayStation.
Yeah. Next, I want to talk about some of the Red Dead Redemption details.
Oh yes,
The series has now sold over 89 million copies,
that
with
is
with Red Dead 2 at 64 million.
That is
It's
crazy.
it's practically a new IP, minus the part they bought it from Capcom.
That always was surprising. That it was a Capcom IP before
Yeah,
Microsoft.
Red Dead Revolver, I want to say is what the name was.
Yep, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
like the Rockstar effect to get 64 million copies.
Crazy.
That is crazy. And Online came with every version of Red Dead 2, and they also released a standalone version of Red Dead Online.
And then they also recently did the Red Dead Redemption uh remaster on PlayStation 4
It
and
was a
Switch.
port, but yeah, Switch on PS4.
Well, I mean, on PlayStation, it's basically a remaster because they updated it to support 60 on PS5.
Yeah, yeah. Which wasn't at
Fortunately,
launch, by the way.
not at launch, but I think it wasn't too long after launch. I added that in.
I think it was a month or so.
I think it was a month. Yeah, you're probably right. And unfortunately for Xbox people who got the 360 copy, that game never got FPS boost. So,
Yeah, I think there's speculation that it's coming to PC soon.
and probably an Xbox port too.
I don't know. I thought the whole argument was that it already existed on Xbox.
Well, on Xbox, it doesn't run at 60 frames, and there's people that would buy the game again on Xbox just to get that.
I will see, but like they already updated that for Xbox.
Maybe it might be part of a potential batch
I
of.
think it's going to be, as Microsoft's favorite words, get a PC, as King would say.
Anyway, unless you have anything to add about Red Dead, you want to go to the next topic?
Yes, Summer Games Fest. The partners have been announced.
Ooh, let me open the page so I can kind of commentate on it with you.
Yes, we have 2K, Amazon Games, PlayStation, of course. We have like pretty much every publisher, main publisher, even Warner Brothers and Ubisoft.
Will Lord Sonic see the Sonic X Shadow Generations gameplay?
Will Xbox do anything useful at this showcase?
Tune in to Dragon Ball.
But
Uh,
yeah,
honestly, we'll get to Xbox in a little bit, but I feel like everybody has something to talk about. Honestly,
yeah. I'm just curious because Sony always saves something special for Jeff. Last year they got Spider-Man 2 release date.
well, if the PlayStation Showcase doesn't happen this week, I could see Ghost 2 being announced.
No,
Uh,
I have a theory.
yeah,
They saved the Spider-Man DLC for the just Summer Games Fest.
I like that idea because they got to announce it at some point.
Yeah, I think I don't think they show at the showcase, but then at the Summer Games Fest, they just say coming now.
It's out now.
The first part has been released worldwide.
And we already know from legit data mine, it is focused on
Not only data mine, I don't know if you remember, but there was a debug menu left in the one of the patches.
yeah. I think the beetle. That's the name of the villain that's being
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
focused on.
Beetle.
Yeah,
He's a
that's back.
pretty niche villain.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I don't have anything to speculate here, but I like to see some stuff. Perhaps another look at Death Stranding 2.
I feel like for the
Because
Summer Games Fest,
Kojima and Jeff are like,
look, we're trying to be PG on this show here, so we're not going to get too explicit. But let's just say, they actually, let's just say that they like glizzies. Let's just leave it at that. In all seriousness, though, I would not be shocked to see a Death Stranding and two trailer or something here.
yeah, because the last trailer was like 8 minutes long.
And maybe they do. Maybe they have something with the Microsoft partnership with OD.
Oh
But
yes, more glizzing.
oh god,
I will never forget him just standing on stage with some words.
it's just Yeah, yeah. That the ad awards were really great last year. Oh, so good. Hopefully
Yes.
this year.
Speaking of
Really?
another publisher,
Yes.
Ubisoft has canceled the free-to-play Division game.
Wow. I'm really surprised. And when I say surprised, not really, because let's be real. Ubisoft has. Give me one moment. I gotta try to get
I want to say something though.
Go
I
ahead,
think
man.
I think Ubisoft's having the Capcom effect, where they're kind of really having a revival of their themselves.
Okay, just give me one moment. Okay, is my picture quality still good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, no, my phone was at 29%. I just wanted to get it plugged in the charger.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, man. Yeah, I feel like with Ubisoft, the problem with them specifically right now is they're trying to
I still can't believe they tried to do a Watch Dogs battle royale,
was that rumored, or was that something they actively did?
and that's actively canceled. Right before
Okay.
they said or I guess those leaked the Watch Dogs IP is dead. Their last attempt was to make it BR before killing the IP.
Well, at least they let the IP go on ice, instead of just dragging out its corpse.
Yes,
Maddie said this on Duke, and I agree with him. Watch Dogs was this the franchise that was really used to kind of be a showcase to experiment and just kind of have a nice looking like.
I have a counterpoint.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you know this, but Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs had a lot of crossover.
Hmm.
There was a mission where you kill like a character from Assassin's Creed 4 in one of the first
I,
Watch Dogs.
so, what do you think?
I think Watch Dogs was set up to be modern day Assassin's Creed.
That makes a lot of sense, and because
The
the
themes are very similar as well. The
especially the first,
whole Watch Dogs. Sorry,
right?
go on.
No, especially the first one, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling that was the idea for Watch Dogs. Set up as its own IP, but it was a spiritual successor to Assassin's Creed to be like a modern day version of it. The first one
And
at least. The two and three, not so much.
but it's a franchise that kind of lost its core vision potentially speaking. So I guess
It's an overcorrection, I would call it.
it
It was
overcorrect.
it's too dark, too serious, and then they went over silly and over.
So the Saints Row effect.
Yeah, kinda. Watch Dogs 2 has some great gameplay though. Like the hacking is like some of the best hacking in video games, in my opinion. And San Francisco is a beautiful world. Just the storyline is like a cheesy 80s hacker movie.
Another game on the long list I have to play.
An Eternal List.
Eternal list.
And then next we have I don't know if you know this, but the Saints Row reboot was reported as the lowest sold game in the franchise.
I'm not surprised to hear that, unfortunately.
Uh, as a person who loves GTA games, and we don't get GTA games basically, it's over for it. For like those, there is no GTA spin-off or any type of similar type game anymore, besides
Watch
Mafia,
Dogs,
which is owned by the same publisher.
Watch Dogs kind of tried filling in a role for that until it didn't anymore.
Well, they lost the point of Watch Dogs because the
Yeah.
Watch Dogs Legion was play as any NPC you want.
How is it? How are you going to make a character? How are you going to make an engaging story with like NPCs?
Yeah, it was a cool idea on paper, but just it was obviously not gonna work.
So, do you think that the IP is permanently on ice, or is it something that they could potentially bring back in the future?
I think you give it a generation.
Honestly, fair enough.
Yeah, and then next we have Square Enix restructure.
Oh yes, Square Enix basically saying, "Listen, we can't do PlayStation exclusives anymore. We gotta put our games on PC and Switch because those are the only places that sell in Japan." The
Yeah,
uh, the sad part about the whole situation is, again, another round of layoffs in the industry, and it's always sad to see that.
it is unfortunate.
But as you just as even though you just dip your toes in the weeb waters with with Persona, we both loved Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, Final
How
16 is a great game, which
how
a lot of Xbox players like to use propaganda of it flopping.
oh god, I don't know, man. Are you excited to see this great video game find some new homes?
Yes, I do hope PC players and stinky Game Pass players will find a way to enjoy it.
Honestly, I'm really curious to see if they bring it to the Switch too. I want I
That
want
would
I
be interesting.
I want to see that console
But that thing
melt.
chugs on PS5 though, so I don't know.
I want to see my brand new Switch 2 melt in my hands as I fight Titan.
But yeah, I don't know much to say. Good. You should restructure. You should not
Honestly,
launch 100 games at once.
yep, that is crazy. They did that for so long, man. It's
Like 5 JRPGs in a short span of time.
how is anything going to sell?
Nothing even sells on Xbox.
Oh God.
I'm playing, but
I honestly, the problem with Square Enix is they have a wealth of franchises and IP, but they don't really know how to kind of space everything out. Now that they kind of streamline the process to just be like a smaller batch of like major titles, they should be able to space things out a lot better.
yep, I agree. I hope it
And
works out.
and one thing I feel like that's an interesting kind of angle, and I mentioned this in my write up about this situation on Lords of Gaming, is the idea of the subscription services and bringing some of the legacy titles on these new platforms. Like I mentioned, a story I wrote a couple of like a month or two ago was the fact that all like the a bunch of Final Fantasy games are leaving PlayStation Plus, despite the fact that they were on there for like a good 2 years or so. And
Hmm.
originally, those games were on Xbox Game Pass. So now that the PlayStation Plus contract expired, there's a possibility that they may, alongside some other Square Enix stuff, be part of some kind of big Game Pass deal, and that they'll announce at the Xbox showcase to try to kind of make it like seem that they're investing in Japan.
Hmm.
In addition to that, an angle I brought up that I don't think anyone really would think about is Switch Online. Because Switch Online, you have NES, Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Nintendo 64. And if you look at those platforms outside the N64, you have so many Square Enix titles. And it's a possibility that for more multi-platform focus, they may want to look into bring some titles from their catalog, at least on the Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance, because so many Square Enix games came out on those systems. Maybe bring some games over to the Switch Online. Like
Perhaps.
that is a possibility. That would be pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
and another aspect I didn't mention in the article because this wasn't something that happened at the time. Apparently, they're updating the PlayStation 2 emulator, so now it won't be awful on PlayStation 5.
Mm,
So there's a possibility that Square Enix might start putting some of their stuff on that.
I could see that.
The Bouncer, Dirge of Cerberus. PlayStation 2 classics.
The classics. But yeah, I hope all ends well for Square and they figure out what they're doing with their games because they've been
Damn.
wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, and I really hope that the next mainline Final Fantasy game takes some notes from Final Fantasy 16 and
I have
doesn't
a feeling it's gonna be 16, but an MMO.
just take what you did in 16 and just use it again for something. That game was so good. You can't just it can't just be that game and that's it, man.
Yeah. Well, that is it for our small topics, which there was a lot this week.
There's a lot of game news. A lot of game.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the leadership shakeup at PlayStation.
Yes.
So we have our two new CEOs with two separate roles. We have Herman Hulst in charge of the studios in the business, and Hideki Nishino, if I say that properly, who's the CEO of the Platform Business Group, who's in charge of the services in the platform like PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now,
Yep.
third-party relationships. And sometimes Herman and him will work together for second party, I would assume. And he works on hardware as well. And I think this is a shakeup that they needed.
I also think like we talked about this before, but I feel like it's a positive aspect of this is the fact that Herman Hulst doesn't have to ask somebody or ask a higher up to get a game greenlit. He can just
Hmm.
greenlit himself because
Yeah.
he's in charge of that now.
Yeah. He's. I wonder if when we will see the fruits of his labor.
Probably soon.
It's like a next generation where you see the fruits.
Yeah, because honestly, you're probably right because it takes a while to get everything done. Like
I
with
mean,
it,
they
like
already greenlit like PS6 games. Like, what's the new Kojima thing?
the new Kojima
Isn't.
Metal.
That's what it is.
Well, not Metal Gear specifically, but it might as well be.
Yeah. And you also gotta applaud him. He has a close relationship with Kojima. Because Kojima reposted his tweet about taking over.
He played the long game. He let Kojima just do what he wanted to do, and now he has like, hey, bro, hey, fam, can you do the Metal Gear Solid game now?
Yes, that is interesting. And then aside from the leadership, this is going to be interesting to see how they split the roles and split the traveling. Because Jim did a lot of traveling. That drove him insane.
Oh yeah, he went to a lot of trips to Brussels and whatnot for the aid deal.
Yes. And then we also have some other interesting news of their new strategy. No longer focusing on sales, but engagement numbers.
Sounds a lot like Xbox.
But
Hmm.
different because you pay for your games. When they want people when they buy games to like stay longer with them.
I feel like that's why the
Like the
PSN.
100%, percentages, the stats.
I mean, you look on PSN. A lot of people who got Final Fantasy 16, they beat the game.
You look at Elden Ring's like platinum percent.
I don't know how people beat that game. God bless them.
But the amount of people, like that's insane.
But it also kind of leads into the whole situation with what happened with Helldivers 2 and what was going on with Ghost with PSN. They
Yeah, they
want
wanted that engagement numbers.
they want the engagement numbers to go up. How do you do that? You mandate PlayStation Plus accounts so you can track that accurately.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine this will apply to God of War Ragnarok when that eventually comes to PC.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, I
and
imagine so.
and no multiplayer mode, so I don't know how they're going to justify that to people. That'll be great.
And this is how they plan to, because we heard about the profit margins from the CFO of Sony, Hiroki Totoki, and how
Mm-hmm.
it's problematic for the future of PlayStation. This is their
Apparently,
solution. how they improve their margins and how they make, they don't make this such a loss
This
when
also
game
kind
when game budgets go up.
this also I'm sorry if I cut you off. This
It's
also
fine.
leads to the whole situation with the fact that the PlayStation people like a, a lot of people still on their PS4 because they're
Yeah.
playing live service games and like these cross generation titles.
Hmm.
There's no reason for them to be upgrading to the new console, and that's
Yeah.
something PlayStation's really gonna have to tackle as they put out next gen only games.
Yeah. And the CFO does call it a new era for PlayStation.
A rebirth, so to speak.
That's a nice pun. And
Mm,
then we have the PS5 sales and Helldiver records.
I can't believe the game did that well, man.
12 million copies across PC and PS5.
That's crazy.
And then the
My
PS5 is almost 60 million,
PS5 alone is almost 6 million.
60,
60 million. Wow.
6 million consoles.
Oh,
That's like
oh, I got
Xbox numbers, my man.
60 million Helldivers too. Oh my god, that is crazy. I got the wires crossed completely. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You said
the consoles that are out in the wild.
okay. I got the wires crossed completely. I'm sorry, bro.
It's no problem. Professional podcasters.
Hey, you know what? A lot of people want to, embrace democracy.
Yes, this is a topic I think needs a little bit of context. I don't know if you remember Deviation Games.
Oh, I remember them. Sony that studio got shuttered.
Yeah, but the thing is, they kept a lot of the talent and put them internal. Like Jason Blundell and so because he was like the lead founder behind that team, and I guess he had something with the other founder, and that's where the split came from. Sony took Jason Blundell and his colleagues. I'm guessing they gave him their own studio space and made him an internal team, unannounced studio.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because
I think you don't want to lose Jason Blundell. That is some talent. He is the legend behind Call of Duty Zombies, basically.
so do you think whatever they were working on was far long enough that they just retained the studio and whoever
I
was
mean, they
left?
have the power to do that, but I don't know. I don't know why they didn't just like let them finish. I have to feel like there's some sort of vision disagreement there.
I could see that
And
disagreement. And,
I guess
uh,
they gave him like the assets and stuff and said, you complete your vision or you build some new vision from this old vision.
hmm,
But isn't it interesting? They're creating like a new studio basically.
it
One
is
day,
interesting.
one day, not I don't think it's this showcase, but one showcase we'll just see a new studio pop up, PlayStation Studios, in this name.
We will see. We will see. I guess.
And another interesting sort of news is former Bungie Chief Technology Officer Luis Viguez, I think I pronounced that, is now head of technology, creative, and service at PlayStation.
It kind of paints an interesting picture about Bungie's situation with PlayStation, doesn't it?
It does. I wonder what this means for Bungie. Because they said they don't expect to earn any money from that acquisitions, not even this year. I think until like the next title comes out.
Maybe because they got have new leadership now, that the plans to kind of really have a closer eye on them kind of changed. Maybe
I don't know, but I'd be worried for them.
I don't think they're gonna get shut down anytime soon, but the
No,
lead
but will their board get interrupted is the question.
probably the capacity though for that. It really depends on how well the final shape does. Hopefully,
Yeah.
shapes out well.
And another interesting tidbit here is PlayStation in fiscal year 23 made 720 million on PC.
That's impressive.
These figures include MLB, Destiny, and other platforms such as Xbox and Switch, and now Helldivers. Wait, Destiny's on Switch?
Wait, what? Destiny? No, 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 no. The
Yeah.
MLB is on the Switch.
And
That's
I
the
don't
only.
know, but this tweet I'm reading says Destiny on other platforms such as Xbox and Switch.
Yeah, because the only PlayStation game that can play on Switch is MLB The Show, and I think that's been the case for like the past two
Oh, you
installments.
can stream it technically. You can stream Destiny on the Switch.
I don't think you can do it officially.
I know, but I don't know. That's what his tweet says. Oh, maybe he just means the MLB Destiny combined, I guess.
He probably is combining the fact that like Destiny's on everything
Yeah, yeah.
and that MLB is also like on everything, but
That's what I feel too. Yeah, and then they beat their forecasted revenue as well. They expected to make 29 billion, they made 29.6 billion.
that's good.
Yeah, they beat their yeah, they beat the record, I think. Yeah, the record was 26.78 billion in 2022, which is a couple
Spider-Man
billion more. That's a lot of money.
Spider-Man definitely helped, man.
Oh, yes. And then I'd like to also hear some interesting facts that we just heard from the call of investors is 20.9 million units were shipped that's the console in a fiscal year in PS5 history, the most ever in PS5 era. They missed their target by 4 million units, would still beats PlayStation 4 record by 900K. And then Helldivers sold 12 million, we know that. And then the second highest number of PlayStation 5 consoles shipped in quarter 4 in history. And then,
That's very
oh,
impressive.
yes. Sony expects to ship 18 million units by March 25. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. They also talk about their network MAUs. Like I think that's how's the acronym go?
I don't know what that is either, bro. I don't know.
MAU acronym It's like how many people like on the network. Monthly
Maybe that's
active users. That's what it is.
oh okay.
That's
That
what
you know what that does make sense with the abbreviation.
it's 118 million monthly active users.
With with the unfortunate, well, unfortunate. It's good that they got a lot of people playing still, but half of that is on PlayStation 4 still.
Yeah,
So
or people watching
that
Netflix on a PS3.
I can't believe people still watch Netflix on PS3. That is crazy.
And then we have this quote from CFO and CEO Hiroki Totoki. As we enter the second half of the console sale, we expect the number of PS5 units to gradually decline. However, by steadily maintaining and expanding consistently, increasing number of active users and engagement, we strengthen our control over business costs. We believe that we'll steadily increase sales and profits from the PlayStation platform going forward.
Well, I mean,
Kind of interesting how he doesn't think it'll increase due to GTA.
they don't think. Well, GTA is not coming out till next year.
But he said in the next year they expect a decline for that second half of the generation. He said.
Well, I don't know why. Well, I feel like maybe he's specifically talking about the next the next like physical year potentially, because
Hmm.
like we all know for a fact that GTA is going to sell consoles across the board, not just PlayStation but Xbox and even Switch too if it comes to that. So I do not. I think he's talking about physical year specifically. I don't think he's talking about like just in total, but maybe he's just having modest expectations because he doesn't want to gas up these like executives and say, "Oh, we're gonna sell trillions of consoles," and
I mean,
they don't.
18 units is still quite a bit.
Yeah,
I think he's just saying they really like to peak them out in a year.
but regardless, they have to be happy with the successes they've gotten so far.
Oh yes. And then we also have this one more thing, the European monthly market.
So you want to get to it's almost 2 o'clock on my end.
It's no problem. So can you guess the number one on the European monthly market?
Oh, I have it open right now. Number one, it is Fallout 4, a Microsoft owned IP. EA,
Wow, my favorite third party.
I know, right? EA Sports, uh, Football Club 24, EA, Helldivers 2, Sony, Grand Theft Auto 5, Rockstar. What a shocker! Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, another Microsoft owned franchise. Fallout 76, a Microsoft owned franchise. Hogwarts Legacy, Warner Brothers. Number 9, Stellar Blade, a very culture-induced game. And wait, what? Why is Fallout New Vegas on here? That's a
I
PlayStation game.
I I don't know. It says 10 digital plus physical. I think it's just selling best-selling games in Europe, not just PlayStation
Oh, okay,
Limited.
okay. They might be talking about PC then,
Yeah.
because there's no because unlike on the Xbox consoles where New Vegas is
Wait,
backwards,
no, Stellar Blade isn't on PC. They're just probably rounding up everything together.
that would make sense because that threw me off. I was gonna go for a whole bit, then I saw it, I'm like, wait, this makes no sense.
But yeah, that's nice to see.
Yeah, Microsoft being a good third party publisher.
Yeah,
Good
they
on.
can even be the new Sony second party game.
I know, right?
And then we have this final tidbit of PlayStation news to this week. PS5 has shipped almost 5 times more than Xbox X and S in quarter one, research firm estimates.
Wow.
31% decline in first quarter hardware for Xbox.
It's almost as if you bring your game subs to platforms, it tells people not to buy your console or something.
Yes, that too. 23 was 3-1, now it's 5-1.
Oh yes. uh, I
And this
guess
is our segue into Microsoft.
yes, and this is where Lord Sonic takes over, takes the wheel. So we have let's mix this up. Let's go a little out of order.
All right.
So just general context for those listening in. Earlier this month, Microsoft shuttered. Well, Microsoft and Bethesda, because this was a decision that both were responsible for. They shuttered three studios: Tango GameWorks, Roundhouse Games, and Arcane Austin. Wait, no, my mistake. I apologize. Tango GameWorks, Arcane Austin, and Alpha Dog Games, and they folded Roundhouse
To support
Games
Studio, I believe,
Sports Studio.
for Elder Scrolls Online.
Thank you. And following that whole situation, it put into question a whole lot of things regarding Xbox. And one of those questions was Call of Duty, because if you put a big game like that into Game Pass, you telling the Xbox audience, hey, you don't need to buy this, you just play it in Game Pass and you're fine. And a lot of people following the whole situation on Hi-Fi Rush, everyone assumed, okay, this failed. This didn't meet expectations internally for Microsoft. So obviously, this brings into question about the whole Call of Duty thing, because it was reportedly something that was debated internally even after the acquisition went through. But uh, thanks to Warrior 64 pointing this out, the let me open it up right now. The Wall Street Journal reports that Microsoft plans a major shakeup in its video game sales strategy by releasing the upcoming installment of Call of Duty into its subscription service instead of the long time lucrative approach of only selling it a la carte. And this kind of brings into question a whole slew of things, for lack of better words. One, how are you going to still get sales on the Xbox console if your audience on Xbox is trained to just play the first party titles with Game Pass? It's debatable with third party titles, but with first party titles, it's it's not really something to really. It's a question.
Hmm.
Um, and then with the whole another angle of Game Pass is the idea that PlayStation and PC players will just they basically will cover the sales. So PlayStation guys, PC guys, they buy the game at full price, and that's it. And then Xbox and then Microsoft doesn't have to worry about, oh, we lost sales on Xbox, or we lost a lot of sales on Xbox, but we're still getting a ton of sales elsewhere. The question is going to be from the executives, hey, what's gonna why did we lose sales on Xbox when we got all the sales on Xbox before we put it in Game Pass? So that's going to be something they have to kind of address. But as a consumer, it's nice that I'll be able to just play the game and you won't have to bug me to buy it. So, what's your thoughts on Call of Duty stuff?
Call of Duty is a gamble, and I think it's not going to work out in their favor. I think
I
think
don't
you have
know.
someone sub for 1 or 2 months, and then they're out. Like they buy $70 cards for 1 or 2 months, and they're out.
Maybe they might the hope in the microtransactions will basically be something they get more of on Xbox potentially.
That's possible, but like in the end, you're still losing more money than this is worth.
That's
You're gonna
true.
you're gonna have a sub increase, then you're gonna have a spike down, like a big one.
Kind of like what happened with Starfield. You got a very minor boost, and then after that game's launch, you just flatlined for a little while.
Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna work out for them in the long run. Short term, sure.
I guess we'll find out during the showcase. We'll see if all this inside reporting is valid or not.
We will find
For their
out.
sake, for their sake, I hope this plan works. But we'll see, man. And then to kind of continue the Activision train, despite the fact that Bethesda shut down studios and folded one, we got a new Activision studio. And let me open this link up so you can get some more specific information. The studio the studio it is. I have actually what I wrote an article for. Let me open an article I wrote for this. Just one moment. But the studio it was the name of the
Elsewhere
studio.
Entertainment.
Thank you. I'm just pulling up my article now, so just make sure I have everything in front of me. Um, yeah, Elsewhere Entertainment and their press release on Activision site says, and I quote, Activision has formed an all-new internal studio, Elsewhere Entertainment. The new team, headquartered in Warsaw, Poland, with the additional resources in the U.S., is exclusively focused on creating a new narrative-based and genre-defining AAA franchise. Built from the ground up, Elsewhere Entertainment is a premier standalone studio dedicated to establishing an environment that inspires bold and diverse ideas. The team's underlying mission encourages everyone to explore and collaborate creatively to craft a franchise with an enduring legacy that resonates far beyond games. And the talent is composed of a lot of different developers from a bunch of studios you that known for really huge games. You have Naughty Dog developers, a lot of Ubisoft developers, and a sizable portion of the team is pulled from CD Project Red. And the question of the kind of game that this is going to be is confusing because you have games that it could be a first person like a first person game like Cyberpunk. It could be an open world game like Far Cry. It could be something like Uncharted or Last of Us. And there's the potential we might see this announced at the Xbox Game Showcase as a teaser trailer to kind of staff up even more. But
Oh, another early announced game from Xbox.
yeah, all right. It's not like they did this already with Perfect Dark or something, and that turned out well for them. But the reason why this is so confusing is, as mentioned, they shut down studios, but specifically they shut down studios in the Bethesda branch of Microsoft Gaming.
When they
And
ask for more resources.
yep, and I feel like this kind of comes back to a main point with Microsoft in general is this three-headed Hydra. You have the heads all looking in very different directions because it, Ninja Fury came out recently and had a whole interview with Kind of Funny and Skill Up show, and the main like thing that was kind of brought out from it is we're confident in the game. We trust Microsoft will do right by us. We're not concerned about us being shuttered. They didn't say it directly, but that's the kind of like they were confident in it,
Mm-hmm.
and they so Microsoft Game Studios they're fine seemingly, and we heard all the reports about Perfect Dark, and if Microsoft is more focused on getting short-term profit and having spending as less money as possible, how come that studio is still around? When how come that studio is still around? And then you have Activision, which they just opened the AAA studio, and they let one of the smaller teams basically form their own indie studio essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Bethesda shutting down teams to get resources because Microsoft seemingly doesn't want to give them any more resources. What do you think?
What do I think? I think Microsoft is, or I should say, Microsoft Gaming is just so big that this is like all isolated. It just is bad optics in the end.
It is.
Like, I don't think they really think about this, or like the people, because these are all different people making decisions.
They gotta they need leadership that can kind of have all these moving parts kind of work well together. But the problem, if I have to put my business hat on for a moment, the problem is in a business, things always change. And while me and you can kind of have like a more like commentary of this is awful, studios being shuttered. Why is like all these moving pieces moving differently from each other? At the end of the day, like a business is gonna just do what's best for the business. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that is each business under Microsoft Gaming is focused on different things and each has their own different level of funding. Like look at Activision, for example. Activision had no problem letting a smaller studio go, even though that studio technically is very valuable for them. They're opening a AAA studio, even though like all they have so many teams already working on Call of Duty. Because the reason why Activision is like doing this is they got the capital, so it's not really a big deal. And that's completely ignoring the whole Blizzard element, which they're kind of a little bit on the rise with Diablo being better lately, maybe. I don't know much about Blizzard, so this is just me guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
It,
know, man. It's a mess, honestly.
it's just a mess, and begs the question how they manage this all.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna give a snarky answer, that answer is they don't. But
Yeah,
the
as long as they make their money and continue at their pace, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine, but will the developers be okay?
Activision, I feel, is relatively safe developer-wise.
I hope so.
Like the COD studios for sure.
Oh yeah, the COD Factory. They need to stay out. They need to stay active, man. They need
Yeah,
they laid off Call of Duty developers earlier this year already. You can't lay off any more developers there.
that was an acquisition thing because
Obviously,
they basically shrink some of the studios like Sledgehammer Games. They
yeah,
said, you have this expensive studio place. Go remote and find a smaller studio space.
that makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about this though. It's unfortunate.
I guess we can kind of end the Xbox topic with 2 for 1. You have Redfall getting updated, and this update is the update that was canceled originally, or reportedly was canceled, but I suppose because of all the negative backlash that they got as of late.
At least make your game offline available.
Exactly, you gotta preserve the game, or part of my guess is they're gonna be look like with Hi-Fi Rush and how they kind of got that game basically in its perfect state with the final update with very minor bug fixes. So when they print the physical copies, when they inevitably bring it to Switch or Switch 2, the game's done. You don't have to do anything else to it. So if the studio is gone, it's fine. And that's probably what's happening with Redfall, because there's a genuine possibility that they might want to bring that game over to PlayStation.
Yeah,
So if they want to do that, you got to make sure the game is content complete. And the only way that's possible is if this final update is out.
I agree.
Uh, a chain effect of that is it keeps the lights on for Arcane Austin for a little bit longer. So the transition to other Bethesda studios and specifically Arcane Leon is more organic because when Microsoft announced when the studio closures were announced, while they said Arcane Austin was being shuttered, they also stated some of those developers would be moved to other positions in Bethesda. So there's a genuine possibility that the who's ever working on this Redfall update is being slowly transitioned over to Arcane Leon or one of the or Bethesda Game Studios or what have you. Because the
Yeah.
talent there, you why get rid of it?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just you just gotta get past this now. There's like no back steps anymore.
No, they just gotta just they made the decisions. They gotta live with it, and they just gotta make sure they do right by the developers. And along, I guess this is where we will end our very long show
Yeah.
with Blade 2. As
Oh,
as of this recording, and potentially when this goes live, Hellblade 2 will be out in the public. As as someone in the games media or whatever, I know the Iron Lords and one of my fellow scribes on Lords of Gaming is reviewing it. And I know nothing about the game, but all I know is on for Lords of Gaming, our content of the game will go live at 4 a.m. whenever the embargo date lifts. I don't know if it's on on Monday 20th or the 21st, but when the embargo lifts, you can check our content on that. But
mhm. I believe it's the 21st, if I remember.
I think so. Let me just
Because they did to avoid spoilers, they said.
okay. I'm looking it up now just to make sure I got everything correct. So let me just open it up the Twitter link up they posted. Just to make sure we have all the information correct. Okay. No, you're right. It is gonna the embargoes. You're right. The embargo lifts the same day to avoid spoilers.
Yep.
And yeah. So my just keep in mind my experience with Hellblade. I prefer Ninja Fury's earlier output when they were more of an action adventure studio.
Hmm.
EMC, and Enslaved Odyssey to the West. I never finished Hellblade 1, but I tend to at least play through a significant chunk of it before I play Hellblade 2. So,
You not finishing well.
come on, man. I'm trying to do better now. But Lord Rockstar, are you enjoying a double A game masquerading as a triple A game?
I will be there no matter what.
Yes.
But I find it skeptical when I have this tweet of an interview with Kind of Funny.
Yep.
When they revealed the Hellblade at 2019 The Game Awards, they had nothing of the game apart from that trailer.
I don't understand that decision, honestly.
I have
Like,
no idea what they have been doing for 6 years, essentially.
well, from what the Kind of Funny interview state, well, from based off the Kind of Funny interview, they were working on Bleeding Edge, predominantly, while also working on Hellblade 2. So I feel like that's probably the situation at hand, where they were developing two things at once, and everyone forgot about Bleeding Edge, probably for good reason. Question mark. Um, Now they well, by the time they put all their eggs in the Hellblade 2 basket, that's when the COVID nightmare happened, and it had a very bad impact on a bunch of studios. And when your studio is so focused on film like filmic experiences with motion capture, voice recording, and everything, that has to impact a lot. But even if we're kind of giving them that justification for taking so long, the whole situation with COVID kind of cleared itself up like a year or two later.
Yeah,
So it's
you
a
have God
very
of War Ragnarok
that was a
coming
COVID.
out. They had to mocap some stuff during COVID.
Yep, that was a COVID game. Same with Horizon.
Yeah, I think this is the last COVID game, I believe.
I think so too.
Because if you think about it, I guess Indiana maybe.
Yeah, I mean Indiana Jones. I think might be the last COVID game.
Yeah, that's why I think this year is so quiet because of the COVID games era ending.
That makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I just don't know what to expect. I do think this game was overmarketed
It
because
was,
they
and
made it
then
seem bigger than it was.
that basically painted the image of this was like the God of War
I
2018
think there's
moment.
gonna be a lot of disappointment when it's more of the same with the first one. I expect low 80s.
I'm I'm hoping it gets similar score start. Well, I mean that's Starfield got like around like 84. I
Yeah,
believe
the Xbox stink continues.
Xbox. Oh my god. I don't think it's an Xbox stink in this case. I think it's just it's I feel like
Oh, what do they call it? Xbox bias?
the Xbox tax, that's the correct
Oh,
term.
that's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Xbox
Uh,
tax.
yes, as a pony bot, I need to make sure you know the terminologies correctly.
Yes, yes. I can correct you in the PlayStation terminologies.
Yes, thank you, good sir. You're educating Lord Sonic. uh,
Yes.
but in the end of the day, I'm just hopeful that the game meets the targets Microsoft wants, which is Game Pass engagement, in the sense of
I
this is the
have
time
zero confidence in that.
they need a win after all the stuff that's been going on lately, and if they don't deliver in the sense of this is a game they announced alongside the console. This is a game that is going to be the visual benchmark. This is the game that is one of the big titles from the 2018 developers you bought. Excuse me. So I
What has the
really,
studio given them so far? What did they? How much did they pay for the studio again?
I'm not sure honestly.
I just want to see because yeah, it feels like they just wasted money on the studio.
Well, the studio only made it's Ninja
They bought them
Theory.
for 117 million.
Hmm. Well, if you look at the output from Ninja Theory on the Xbox, they made Leading Edge. They made the Series X and Series S version of Hellblade. They made a Nintendo Switch version of Hellblade 1. Yes, they did that. And they're making Hellblade 2.
Yeah, I don't think they closed the studio just yet, but if that second project doesn't hit, it's over.
I feel like what's probably going to happen is that the second project's going to be a pivot to something more traditionally AAA
But
because
it's a horror game, I believe, right?
they're making some kind of like like a horror game heavily focused on like audio. But
Yeah,
I
I just
feel
don't
like
see a future.
this is going to be a thing for the other Microsoft studios in general, where like you have a lot of talent, but a lot of that talent was brought in under the assumption that they can make whatever they want on the Game Pass, and because Microsoft is Microsoft, they got that security. But because of the situation at hand, as I mentioned, it's like every Hydra is doing its own thing, and it kind of leads to this kind of question mark of, well, what's going to happen to the studio? Is it going to be like how Bethesda handled things, or is it Microsoft's going to leave well enough alone, or are they going to invest in more talent and more, or another studio like with Activision?
Hmm.
You don't know, and that is the one thing I feel like they don't they probably won't answer, but something I would appreciate that they just give a clear like message to the gaming community and just the the gaming industry. This is what we expect from you, the consumers. This is our metric for success. And once that is clearly telegraphed, I feel like the whole situation surrounding Microsoft will be something easier for people to comprehend. Like, okay, Game Pass is good for X reason, or they for the big games they want us to buy them, even though they're on Game Pass, or this is the double A stuff is going to be the only thing. It's going to be kind of limited, while the triple A stuff is going to be the focus. And to kind of just end everything with the Xbox topic, I would not be surprised if we saw PlayStation games and Nintendo games, or sorry, PlayStation and Nintendo SKUs announced during the Xbox Game Showcase. Because
I would not be surprised either.
at this point in the game, Microsoft wants profit, and if Sea of Thieves did so well for them on PlayStation, and that's a really old game, you know Halo's gonna do well. You know Forza Horizon's gonna do well.
I think there is something this year, and I think it's Halo.
Which Halo do you think?
I think you start with Infinite.
I can agree with that because Infinite is in a good state right now.
I think you start with something I think you say the collection, something that's probably the biggest launch you're ever gonna get, and I think you save it.
You think they launch the Halo collection next year, or they launch the Gears collection next year?
I don't know. That Gears collection rumor is it feels like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
That's what it feels like at this point.
I
Every
think
year.
Hey man, I think it might happen, especially if you're gonna, especially now that they want to bring that stuff on other platforms. It isn't like on Xbox we can just run everything through backwards compatibility. If you're gonna do a Gears collection or a Fable collection, you have to make native PlayStation versions. And if you're gonna make native PlayStation versions, you might as well make a native Xbox.
I think it's possible, but I just don't know. I
I,
I just don't know what Xbox is doing at this point.
to be honest, I don't think anyone
They're like
does.
a chicken with their head cut off.
The headless chicken.
That's what it feels like they're doing. They're just going in circles this direction, no this direction, no this direction.
Hey, maybe that chicken will hit a wall eventually.
Maybe it will find his head. Maybe.
Maybe it will find its head. And in order
Well,
to keep that, gotta be a member. You gotta subscribe to Game Pass. Oh my god! But I feel like we covered a lot of topics.
oh
So
yes, an explosive amount of topics for a
yeah,
first episode.
yes. Next episode we will definitely consider a smaller batch of topics. But you
If it
know,
doesn't explode again with the showcase.
I mean, we probably there's even more stuff that happened recently that we didn't even freaking touch on.
We will see.
But on that note, uh, any last words you wanna give us, Seahawk, aka Lord Rockstar?
I will say thanks for the first episode, guys, and it's time to start a new journey.
Yes, it is definitely time to start a new journey, and this is Lord Sonic RK128. You can find me and my buddy Seahawk on Twitter or slash X, whatever you prefer, or whatever Elon Musk decides to call it. He changes it every other day. I don't
They
know why.
officially changed the URL to X. Did you see?
Oh yeah, so okay, so it's not Twitter anymore. It's just X, like
It's all, never
Xbox.
gonna stop sounding like a porn site.
I mean, to be quite, you see all the bots on there.
Oh,
Oh,
I get
being
I
one.
get like a new follow every day from one of those bots.
Uh, Fun fact: when I made the Twitter account for our podcast here, when I the first things I saw, all porn stuff. No, no normal people. Uh,
Well, on that note,
on that note, let's end this on a positive note, not a suggestive note, because we're we're not family friendly, clearly, but we're not we're not we're not we're
yes,
not we're
I
not
am
pausing.
definitely not family friendly, especially to the Sonic fans.
Wow. But we'll get to IOP's level of craziness at some point or another. But so thank you all for listening to our first episode of Press X Code and Culture podcast. And it was it was an honor having this discussion with you, Seahawk. We always had these great talks and like voice calls, and now the world gets to hear our ramblings, and hopefully they enjoy it or not.
Yes,
Tell us anything. We appreciate.
yes, the feedback will be appreciated, no matter how brutal.
Yes, and if the feedback basically delegates to Sonic sucks, I'm just gonna downvote you immediately.
And I'll vote you.
Wow. See that the two hosts are already in a disagreement. Maybe this will be a one episode thing.
Well,
But you know what? Good night, brother. It was really great talking to you as always, and hopefully you guys stick around for episode two. Hopefully this is a weekly venture, or we will notify you all when episode two goes live next time. Find us on YouTube, hopefully Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and see you next time.
see ya.